straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The COVID-19 inquiry finds the government's response to the pandemic was too little, too late.
It found that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely and ministers could have reacted more quickly to the emerging threat of the virus.
Well, Lady Hallett found up to 23,000 lives could have been saved if the first lockdown had been imposed a week earlier.
But after an inquiry that's cost £200 million and has taken over 2 years, will anyone now be held responsible?
Also today, Russia could be welcomed back to the G7 and freed from Western sanctions under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine.
Fears that President Trump's boycott of the G20 summit in South Africa will overshadow the meeting of world leaders today as they arrive in Johannesburg.
Ofgem will announce the next energy price cap this morning, and that's going to affect the prices for millions of households. It is expected to fall slightly.
Elsewhere, 60% of farmers say they are at financial risk from supermarket buying behaviour, with nearly 70% saying living through farming has never been harder.
And the NHS could be left with huge holes in its medical workforce if foreign doctors leave the health service. So we're asking today whether foreign workers should be used to plug the gaps.
And in sport this morning, well, the Ashes, England get off to a nightmare start. I don't know why I'm laughing. In the first Ashes test in Perth, lost their first 3 wickets for 37 runs, now 168 for 8, which isn't great. Northern Ireland and Wales won't appear at the World Cup together as the playoffs are announced. And for 2027, you'll need yet another subscription to watch Champions League football.
Things will be changing through the weekend, but for the time being, it is another cold day out there where we've seen showers through the night. Could be quite icy first thing this morning. The snow showers, though, are fading away, and for many, it'll be a sunny one. Join me later for a full forecast.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Morning, everyone.
Happy birthday for yesterday, by the way. Happy birthday. I'm sorry I wasn't here. Happy birthday.
We missed you.
You bothered to turn up, could you?
You could have come to our breakfast.
I would really have liked that. I'd
Yeah,
very much like. You
but-
still could have invited me. I was still in
Actually, you would have been available, wouldn't you? Because your event wasn't until the afternoon.
That's right,
I didn't think of that. Anyway, I would just like to say at this stage that Stephen wished me a very happy 45th birthday yesterday. I'm not 45. Because
You're 46.
It was, I mean, look...
Well, that's what I said, yes, I went...
it was just a jokey comment. Unfortunately, several thousand of you have messaged Ellie saying...
How well I look for 45.
And Stephen, between us, did you pay for that? What, did Ellie have a go at you about saying that?
Oh, she had a real go, yeah.
Did she really?
Trouble, yeah.
OK. You should know better,
She
shouldn't
almost developed a frown line.
Yes, not 45.
She's nowhere near 45.
30... how old am I?
32.
32 as of yesterday. I was like, how old am I now?
Yeah, but the reason I make these sort of jokey comments is because she's been bleating on for about a month now, saying, oh, I can't believe I'm going to be so old.
See, I find that personally offensive.
Really
offensive. I do, yeah.
I mean, can you I can't even remember being 32.
Sorry.
No, I can't either.
I just feel like it means the fun is behind me.
Oh, now knock
And
it
life
off.
gets-
Don't start again.
I just worry that it's now very serious from here on out. Don't you
Right.
But you're not a kid anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so you got to get on with real life. But you're a married woman now with a mortgage.
Very grown up.
It is, but that's
scary.
good.
Anyway.
I've found life gets better and better. The older I've got, the better life has been. I've never once thought, oh, I wish I was that age again.
Because you know what?
Nice.
It's
You know what?
genuine.
You feel more comfortable in your own skin the older you get. You don't worry about stuff
No, you
quite so
don't.
much. Actually, that's a
Yeah.
lie. But anyway, but you do. No, you know, I do. Do you feel more...
I tell you what, I don't care what people think of me the same.
Yeah.
That must be freeing,
That
liberating.
is really freeing. If people sort of don't like me, you just think, well, so you don't like
Stephen.
me. You can't like everybody, can you?
Everybody likes you.
No, they don't.
But
Yes, they do.
Everybody likes
No, they
Stephen.
don't.
Everybody loves Stephen.
Some of you watching know that's not true. But it's fine. It's like, fine. You don't have to like me. It's fine.
Listen, 30 onwards, it's all great.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
The old codger.
Anyway.
46.
And happy birthday to everyone else whose birthday it was yesterday. And we appear to all be sharing the same birthday.
Yes, actually, it was Uncle Barry's birthday yesterday.
Was it? You didn't mention.
I didn't know. I don't know how old
Happy
he is.
birthday, Uncle Barry.
Yeah.
But be 46. gbnews.com/, you'll say.
Do you know any kids called Barry?
No, not now.
I know.
Dying name.
I've got a friend called Barry, and his son's called Barry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Baby Baz.
Yeah, Big Bell and Little Bell.
It's funny how names go in and out of fashion.
Isn't that great?
Bell?
Yeah, Bell. Big Bell and Little Bell.
He's from Essex.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh, Bell.
All right,
Good morning,
Belle.
Barry and Little Barry.
I was in Essex last night.
Oh,
sorry.
I went home. I was going to do some news, but why bother?
Oh, whatever.
No, I went home for my birthday dinner. It was so nice. And honestly, I drove into Essex and I was like, I'm home. It was like a homecoming.
Did the accent come back?
No.
With their bells everywhere.
What? You're right.
What else?
All right, Els Bells.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, babes.
Bell's coming over later.
That's what she talks like when she's not on the telly. You won't believe it.
Oh, dear, it's not quite true. I now need to do a message after everything you joke about. Just saying, just to make it clear. He is joking.
All right, I do joke.
Anyway, shall we do some...
Life's too short to be serious about it.
It's true. But people need to know you're a wind-up virgin.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, look, our main news today is about the public inquiry into COVID. It seems like it's been going on forever. 2 years it's been ongoing. Anyway, it's concluded that the government's failure to take COVID-19 seriously cost 23,000 lives in the first wave of the pandemic.
Well, the inquiry says the government response to the pandemic in March of 2020 was summarised by the words, too little, too late.
Lockdown could have been avoided altogether, it says, if steps like social distancing and isolating those with symptoms had been introduced earlier.
It added that the toxic and chaotic culture in the UK government affected decision-making, and it adds that Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was, of course, Prime Minister at the time, had failed to tackle it.
Let's talk to Deputy Editor for The Spectator, James Heal, who's here. James, good to see you this morning. I mean, look, it's not good, is it? But this whole idea of perhaps we should have had a lockdown earlier, which a lot of people won't like the idea of, or perhaps we shouldn't have had a lockdown at all. I mean, we still haven't... It's not decisive, it just says we got things very wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that the top headline claim of 23,000 lives could have been saved if we locked down earlier ought to be balanced by the report's conclusion too that overall, when the pandemic was declared over in 2023, the total number of lives saved would not have been materially affected if we had done that. So those things need to be balanced out together. I also think it's worth talking about the modelling behind the 23,000 claim, which is that, of course, when we were doing the modelling at The Spectator during the time, we had COVID scientists calling up and saying that modelling doesn't predict or establish anything. And, of course, they've been able to come across this very sort of conclusive figure of 23,000. Actually, I think that's very, very debatable. And I think it's also worth noting that the measures they proposed, which would have saved lives, such as social distancing, when we did do that kind of stuff in summer and autumn of 2020, it didn't work. And so hence why I went for the full lockdown approach. Look, I think it's really interesting. It's across all the papers today. All of those have different kind of spin and take on it. And that is, I think, a testament of how complex this is. 800-page report. And, of course, Stephen, you said there about sort of, you know, how long it's taken. This is the first 2 reports of 10 overall, which will take until 2027.
Gosh.
So this only examines sort of some aspects of the virus. And I think that reflects that this was the most complex thing facing the government since World War II.
So far, have we learnt anything new? Because we're talking about £200 million and over 2 years. And lots of the papers saying that this is stuff that we already know.
I think a lot of it was in terms of the headline claim. I mean, I think that, for instance, if you talk to any special advisor from Boris Johnson's government, it's not a revelation that decision-making was confused and chaotic. I think that all the different 4 home governments, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, all of them come out badly in terms of some of the report's conclusions. That was already well established. But look, we had a huge public debate at the time of this. For me, some of the less headline-grabbing claims, some of the things a bit lower down, the more interesting ones, such as how disabled people were treated. I think that there's a case there that there should have been shielding sooner. I think the first inter-cabinet group didn't meet until May 2020 rather than March when the virus was going on. Maybe that could have been something that needs more looking at. But also, a lot of the protagonists have now left the stage. And so a lot of the things that Boris Johnson and what he said to Dominic Cummings, what didn't say, that seems in the past. I would make the point that the Cabinet Secretary, Chris Wormold, of course, was in charge of the Health Department at the time. So I'll be interested in terms of a Westminster angle to see if he has any criticism about that.
I mean, what is... you wonder how this is going to go down with the public because, as I say, the headline is too little, too late. And yet a lot of people now, and the people who are very vocal about COVID, are saying we shouldn't have done any of this at all.
Yeah.
There was no need for social distancing. There was no need for lockdowns. There's a significant group of people who say there's no need for vaccines. But, I mean, that isn't what this report is saying at all.
No, I think it all depends on perspective, really. And I think there'll be some people who take a real step back and say, look, was the harms inflicted by lockdown in terms of the damage on the economy worth the longer-term repercussions? So would we have had, for instance, less inflation? Would we have had a better, stronger economy which could have dealt with this stuff, some of the long-term health conditions over many, many years? I wonder, Stephen, if any person's mind will be changed as a result of this report. I feel like a lot of people made up their minds a long time ago. We wait to see if any polling or anything comes out of it. But for those who are involved, it won't ever make the pain of losing a loved one go away. And I think a lot of people who are sceptical will say, look, actually, is there anything here we didn't know 4 or 5 years ago?
Baroness Hellett was also speaking, well, highly critical, let's say, of Boris Johnson, talking about a toxic, sexist and chaotic culture, talking about women who are marginalised and their voices weren't heard.
I mean, again, this is something we've heard about from, I think, 2021, 2022. Different inquiries have come into this. This is about the decision-making culture in number 10, and there was a concern that the voices were too exclusionary. I mean, the key thing is, as I say, that all the different governments, devolved governments, had similar problems in terms of this decision-making. Boris Johnson will come out and make his points, and I think that it's sometimes helpful when we're dealing with a huge virus for people to focus on a single target. But, I mean, really, was there much that we didn't know already?
Well, yeah, and again, one of the other big issues is the impact on young people in education. But again, we know it. We know it was it was very, very disruptive to children and young people.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got family who are teachers, and sort of at the start of it, they had to wash hands sort of 20 times a day or something. It was quite crazy. And I think the school closures were definitely one of the more controversial elements of this, in terms of these people were not like to get the virus, they were not at risk. Why did we go through this and damage their long-term chances? Ultimately, we're going to be seeing, in terms of the data that's available to us, this going on for many decades, and I think children's life chances will be affected by it.
OK.
I was just going to say, hindsight's a wonder. I suppose that's the point of an inquiry, is that you do have hindsight. But at the time when it was an unprecedented world event, what was anybody meant to do? Yeah, we didn't know necessarily that you should be taking these actions as quickly as you should.
And that's the interesting thing for me, is hearing the different politicians' responses across the country last night. I mean, they were all mirroring them, saying, look, we tried our best. We were acting to something we had known nothing of. I'll be interested too, when it comes into pandemic preparedness, whether more could have been done before March 2020. I think there's some points about sort of the speed in March 2020 and learning from other countries. But overall, as they all get to say, I think, you know, they had honest intentions, and no one wanted this to happen.
OK, James Hill, good to see you. We'll see you in the next hour.
See you there.
Thank you very much. Takes you back, doesn't it, to when we didn't know what we were dealing with?
No, it's very odd.
I was thinking back to 2020 and when we first started doing our supermarket shopping during the lockdowns. And I don't know if you had it, but we had a room that, so we'd taken our shopping and we just put all the shopping in and leave it there for 48 hours, because at the time we thought it was transferred by touch. Yeah, and then you'd have to anti-back everything.
Oh, I didn't do any of that.
Did you not?
No, but I remember all the big queues, everyone queuing round the supermarket car
One-way
park
systems.
and all that. I mean, it's extraordinary, really.
Crazy now.
But then, I was thinking, what's the alternative? Should we have let more people die for the benefit of the economy in the long term, or, you know, all these sort of arguments? Well, of course, that's all well and good to say it on a big level, but it's not if you're one of those people who's dying, or the family of someone who's died. Then you've got a totally different perspective on it, haven't you?
Of course you do.
So what do you do?
Yeah,
I'm sure you've got a view.
I mean, the COVID-19 bereaved families, just having a look here, said that this report just shows that they believe the Boris Johnson government repeatedly delayed and ignored advice and put politics ahead of public safety. I mean, for them, this still isn't enough, is it?
No. But then you've got a whole swathe of people who say, I may have Lockham on this channel, who say there shouldn't have been as much public protection as there was.
No, that freedoms were infringed upon. Let us know your thoughts. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Right, at 14 minutes past 6, let's have a look at the weather with Alex Deakin.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps you won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, at 16 minutes past 6, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Nimsa Bunge, and I'm the pastor of Freedom Czar, and member of the Evangelical Alliance here in the Tottenham Town Hall. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 23 to 35, Jesus tells the parable of the unforgiven servant, illustrating the powerful effects unforgiveness can have in all our lives. A verse reads, "And his Lord was wroth and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him." So there are 4 points that come to mind here. The first is the weight of unforgiveness. In this parable, the servant owes a debt he cannot pay. His master's anger leads to torment, an image of unresolved consequences. Sometimes in life, past wrongs linger, weighing on us. Unforgiveness can feel like a debt we cannot settle, tormenting our very hearts. Second thing is God's forgiveness. You see, God forgives what we cannot repay. The parable reminds us of divine mercy that is greater than human failure. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "To be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable, because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you." And the third is the call to forgive others. We're all called to extend forgiveness to those who trespass or hurt us. And to hold on to resentment only prolongs our own suffering. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but releases us from its grip and restores peace. Finally, forgiveness brings freedom. Forgiveness allows our hearts, when we forgive, to mirror God's mercy and transform torment into healing. Our lives can reflect peace rather than bitterness, and a freedom from resentment, anger, and animosity. So let us pray. God of mercy, teach us to forgive as you forgive others. Release us from the debts of anger and resentment, and fill our hearts with peace and grace. Amen.
Now, still to come for you, Russia could be welcomed back into the G7 and freed from Western sanctions under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine. We'll talk about that more in a moment.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold-feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
6:22 now. Sir Keir Starmer says the future of Ukraine must be determined by Ukraine. Amid reports, the US has been secretly forging a plan with Russia to end the war.
Well, the White House is said to have pressed Kyiv to accept an agreement under which Ukraine would be required to give up territory and accept limits on the size of its army.
Well, President Zelensky has indicated he was ready to work on the Washington-backed plan. Doesn't mean he's going to agree with it, though.
Well, let's speak now to the People's Deputy of Ukraine, Kira Ruddick, who joins us now. Very good morning to you, Kira. Always good to see you. Look, what do you make of this proposed peace plan? Just having a quick look at this. I mean, talk of Russia being freed from Western sanctions, rejoining the G7 and taking back the majority of its frozen assets. What do you make of it?
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me. This plan is obviously not acceptable in this form for many reasons, but I'm sure that we can work on it with President Trump's administration and try to get it to something that would be acceptable. However, my main question here is Russia even on board with that? Because we didn't hear from Russian officials that they are confirming that this plan was actually created by them and that they will be ready to accept it. President Trump was demanding a ceasefire from Russia since the beginning of his administration. Unfortunately, by this time, we do not see anything near ceasefire happening, and Russia keeps attacking us at the battlefield and in the peaceful cities, attacking cities really far west of Ukraine. So the bigger question is, would Russia even accept it? Would they go with what is written there? And Russian officials did not confirm that. So I just seriously doubt that even if there would be some discussions and negotiations with Ukraine, President Trump really has a good way to pressure Russia into going into peace.
I mean, we understand it was sort of negotiated with Kirill Dmitriev, the presidential envoy out of Moscow. But as you say, we've no official confirmation of whether they accept it or not. But the idea that Russia would walk away with full ownership of the Donbass regions, as well as international recognition of them having Crimea, which was taken in 2014, and then no NATO forces in Ukraine, the Ukrainian army halved. I mean, there's a lot of red flags in there for you.
Absolutely. And I think President Trump understands that as well, that we didn't plan to capitulate in 22. We do not intend to do that right now, but we are ready to talk about what the just peace would look like. And I think removing the red flags would be a part of the negotiating process, because there are some good things there. For example, the return of Ukrainian children and the exchange of the prisoners. This is something that Ukraine have demanded since the beginning of talks with President Trump. I'm afraid that this is yet another Putin strategy to drag on the time, because he's obviously afraid of the severe sanctions that President Trump promises to impose of them. So you see that Russia is not saying no to any peace talks, but they continue attacking us, and they are trying to continue some processes of negotiation without any result. So there are many open questions. We are in front of an incredibly tough winter for Ukraine. Like here in Kiev, we have energy for maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm speaking right now being on a diesel generator, and it's really hard. So we appreciate the attempt to try to bring the war to end.
OK, Kira Ruddick, really good to get your thoughts on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, US political analyst Noralie Knudsen is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, the problem with all of this, and you can see it from the outset, is that it's a peace plan that's been drawn up without Ukrainian involvement. So clearly it's not going to work as it sits on the paper at the moment.
I think you're absolutely right about that, but it's a starting point for true, honest negotiations. And what I read in the press this morning is Trump's ambition is to get a deal signed before Thanksgiving, which is next Thursday. And as we just heard, it's going to be a harsh winter. And people really do want peace. There are a lot of economic incentives in this plan for Ukraine. One, for example, the U.S. will help build up the gas plants in the Ukraine, the pipelines. The U.S. will invest in AI, data centers. Some of the money that has been sanctioned, $100 billion, will be dedicated to rebuilding the Ukraine. As was spoken before, there will be an agreement to help reunite families post, families being separated or children being abducted during the war. And there's been a lot of scrutiny of corruption of Zelensky, people very high up in Ukraine. And one of the points in the plan was to do a full audit of the aid that has gone into the Ukraine. That has now been scrapped to just full amnesty for any actions that were taken. So I think we're in a position where Ukraine can make some concessions. They will have security guarantees from the U.S. Russia will have to agree to a non-aggression of not only Ukraine, but Europe, which I think is very important. But while we're speaking right now, European leaders are putting together their own plan. And then we will be able to see proper negotiations between what both sides want. And hopefully, if Trump can get a deal done before Thanksgiving, that would be wonderful for both sides.
They've got to be careful, though. It's a fine balance, isn't it? I mean, what you're saying there about Ukraine, but then you've got to balance it with not being seen to reward the aggressor. And when you're looking at the Russian president being welcomed back into the G7, it would become the G8, all sanctions being lifted, full ownership of the Donbass, international recognition of Crimea. I mean, there's a lot here to be gained for Russia.
There is a lot here to be going for Russia. And as we know, these were some of the issues that Russia had initially. Clearly, it was NATO membership, which Trump believes sparked the invasion. That's off the table. Ukraine can join the European Union, so that's on the table. It's a give and take. And yes, Europeans are not happy about this plan. I know Macron has spoken out, Keir Starmer has spoken out. So we will see what they come up with. And if anybody can negotiate something between the two, it will be Trump.
OK. Noralie Knudsen, we'll see you a little bit later on, but for now, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now, it's just coming up to 6:30. If you are travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A85 remains closed in both directions between Bridge of Ore and Inverlochi due to essential overnight roadworks with no diversion routes. Motorists are advised to follow timed amnesties. The M48 has a 7.5-tonne weight restriction starting from the 27th of May until further notice. Due to a vehicle fire, all lanes are closed on the M4 westbound entry slip at Junction 6 near Slough, with normal conditions expected to resume between 12 and 12:15 today. And on the trains, the Island Line is experiencing a reduced service, while northern buses are replacing trains between Corkickle and Whitehaven. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Lots of you getting in touch this morning. Declan says, I'm just in the gym listening to the banter at the top of the 6 o'clock.
Oh,
Very
how
funny.
nice, Declan.
And good crack to start off the morning. Thank you.
John says, Ellie, he's got some cheek saying you were 45 and you're his carer.
I could be, you know. No, I'm joking.
Joking, you're in great shape.
Watch it.
John says, we'll share this. Yes. If there are not so many foreigners brought into the country, we would not need to steal other countries' medical workers. This is on the NHS debate that we're having on a little bit later on.
Yeah, and on that, Martin says there are thousands of young British doctors and nurses that can't get work in the NHS, so we should be fine if foreigners leave.
Also talking about this Russia-Ukraine peace plan, John says Russia is the aggressor. Aggressors should not be rewarded. Trump is all about the dollar. He's not bothered about Ukraine. Tim says Trump wants an easy win, but with Putin there is no easy win. The only easy win is to take out Russia and Putin.
Yeah. You see, under this agreement, Russia will get back 2/3 of its 300 billion euros in frozen assets. Ukraine will get 100 billion for rebuilding projects, but the United States would take half the profits from these projects. So there is money in it for Russia. Of course, Russia would say, well, they're getting their money back from all the armaments that they've provided.
Yeah.
I suppose we would under this sort of plan.
And finally, one from Ken on the COVID inquiry saying this is a complete waste of £200 million, hasn't told us anything we didn't already know, and it hasn't addressed the source of the virus itself. An interesting point.
Yeah, well, we've got another 37 parts of this inquiry to come over the next few years, apparently. Now, if you want to get involved, there is a brand new way to take part in the conversation by becoming a friend of GB News for free. Take a look.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
Right, Paul's here with the sport. Good morning.
What were you doing there? Because I saw your arm just come back down. What were you doing?
He had a bit of sticky out hair, so I quickly brushed it.
Well, I didn't know what was going on.
He had a bit of a
very
fright.
rarely do.
I did have a bit of that. Ooh, that's
my
harsh,
goodness
that
me.
brush.
Yeah, I don't know where it's been either. So. Put it back.
Nits now.
The Ashes.
The Ashes, it's underway.
The Ashes is underway. Already, it's ebbing. No, it's ebbing and flowing.
Oh, is it?
It's ebbing and flowing. So it started at, I think, 2 o'clock this morning. So as soon as I get up, then I'm watching the Ashes. So day one in Perth. Now, I can tell you that for the first over, we lose a wicket in the first over of the match. That's Mitchell Starc. Mitchell Starc took 7 wickets against the English, and England ended up, now this is not good, 172 all out. England would have needed, for those that are thinking, what does that mean? What cricket? What the hell's going on? 5-day, and so it's a 5-day game. England would have needed around 300 runs for it to be respectable, should we say.
Should we just let them have the Ashes now and come home?
Oh, you know what? Well, let's see, because the thing is, they've got, and it's 172 all out, 32 overs. There were 105 for 4 at lunch. They're all out with a win, but Zach Crawley got the duck. Joe Root was out for nothing as well. So, and he's the one that everybody was having a go at, saying, "Oh, you never score 100 over in Australia, do you?" And we're thinking, well, he will this time. Out for 0. So anyway, Australia have gone in and we get a wicket straight away. So...
Oh, well.
You never know. They are 0 for 1, which means no runs, 1 wicket against them. So who knows? They'll probably go and score 400 or 500 now. But at the moment, we don't know. It's very, very early days. But the Ashes are underway.
Fingers crossed.
That makes sense to you, though?
Yes,
it does make sense, because sometimes when we talk about cricket, it's like, well, how, what, who? But there we are. That's how it's working at the moment.
Should we talk about the World Cup playoffs?
Yes. Oh, dear, this is a shame, because the World Cup playoffs, we know that Northern Ireland would be in the playoffs, and the same with Wales as well, because that amazing result that they won 7-1 just in the week. So they would then go to the World Cup, which, by the way... It does cheese me off a little bit. It does. It does get under my skin, because you have teams like Curaçao, very small countries, tiny little countries, but then you get bigger sporting or bigger footballing nations that will not qualify. So should it be about the best nations, or should it be that everybody gets to have a go?
I don't know.
I think everybody should have a go.
So you think so? Because, they do all the qualifying in different areas of the world. Yeah. So even you have, like Africa will get a load of teams, and then you get over in America, they'll get a load of teams as well. But then you get smaller teams will be involved, which makes it nice. But then it's not the best ones.
No, but it's if you don't do it like that, it's not going to be a World Cup, is it?
Yeah, that's true. It's just going to be...
inclusive.
It'll be very much European-led. So I guess so. But anyway...
Well, you've answered your own question there.
Well, no, you answered my question, and I agree with that. So Wales are going to be playing Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Oh, yes.
And Northern Ireland will play Italy, which is a bit of a worry. Now, Italy have not qualified for the last 2 World Cups. It's going to be tough for Northern Ireland, but unfortunately, the winner of each of those ties will play each other. So it means that Northern Ireland and Wales won't both go to the World Cup.
Yeah. Oh.
So, which is a shame.
Ouch.
So anyway.
Mind you, if you want to watch your football, especially the Champions League...
Yeah, you've got to pay for it.
You've got to pay more.
You're going to have a few quid here. Because it's all about, you have rights. Different companies have different rights for football. Now, TNT, they've got the rights for Premier League, but more importantly, they've got the rights for European football. So they've got the Champions League, they have the Europa League, they have the Conference League. Now, they've lost that to Paramount Plus, American company. It's one of those that you see on your dial. You see it there, Paramount Plus, what's on there. But they spent like £1 billion. A huge amount. So what it means basically for us is that it's just another subscription that you're going to have. Now, there's newspapers that are going, oh, well, this is how much it'll cost. So if you've got Sky Sports, you need that for the Premier League and the League Cup and EFL and Europa and Conference League, because they've now taken that. 35 quid. TNT, Premier League and Conference, 30 quid. Amazon Prime, they have Champions League, £9. And Paramount Plus, now $4.99 it is for Paramount Plus now, but you can imagine in 2027, that's going to go up. So if you want to watch everything, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
So that's like best part of 100 quid a month.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, you can't do that.
I wouldn't be surprised. So you've got to pick and choose what you're going to watch.
Yeah.
So it is all very, very expensive to watch.
It is.
All right.
Thanks,
Paul,
Hoyty.
thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Talking of money, if you want a whole lot of money to make your Christmas just flow without a single worry, then you can have it. Last week of our... It's true.
I love my Christmas to flow with us.
I like to flow with no worry.
Me too.
You can mock. It will flow if you win £40,000 in tax-free cash, £1,000 to spend at your supermarket, and a GB News goodie bag. Here's how you enter. I don't know why you're laughing. It's a great prize.
Flow with no worries. Anyway, here are all the details you need.
There's just 34 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. The COVID inquiry has been branded a waste of money, totalling £200 million. We're asking, is that fair? We're going to be talking about that with James Rampton and Alison Cork. Morning, you two. Chat to you in just a second.
First, so if you're fed up with the cold, here's a European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy rain and strong winds likely in Italy and Croatia for the first part of the weekend. Meanwhile, it's fine and sunny for most of Spain and Portugal. Chance of some showers for Madeira and also across the Canaries. Sunny but not particularly warm across much of Spain and Portugal. Wet and windy weather, especially for southern Italy, Sicily and parts of Croatia and mainland Greece. Many of the Greek islands dry and fine on Saturday, but it will be cloudy here on Sunday. By the time we get into next week, it looks a little warmer for Rome and Dubrovnik.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Flossie, how do you think your peers would react if, from now on, they were never, ever allowed to bring their phone into school?
Well, I think the big thing is really, I went to school yesterday
after obviously doing BBC News. And surprisingly to me, all of my friends were saying, look, we completely agree with you. You're so totally doing the right thing. Obviously, it is a very sensitive topic. You know, obviously, I'm going to have people saying, stop what you're doing.
Don't take my phone away from me.
I would hate myself if I was in primary, secondary school. But realistically, the thing is, now I'm coming to realise I really wish I just didn't have a phone. I am addicted to my phone now, I will admit that. I really wish I wasn't. So hopefully as well, if phones are banned in secondary schools, parents usually buy them for secondary school because everyone gets them. So hopefully that will stagger, you know, when parents buy their kids' phones, which may break, you know, the level of addiction. Because I feel like if I didn't have a phone, I really wish I didn't, because, you know, I keep on saying to myself, where would I be now if I didn't have a phone?
You said that people are now talking to each other on the bus because your school has moved to a stricter ban.
So my school is now completely smartphone free on anywhere where the school has a duty of care. So, it was really surprising to see kids, you know, talking and chatting rather than
Because normally
just
they would
being on
text
their
each other,
phones.
or they'd be on the...
staring at their phone.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, I do hope you're very successful because it's such an important campaign. Will, or Ewing and Flossie, thank you so much.
Why can't they just take a stand? They've done it in Australia.
It might help with the
They've done it in Australia.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, we're going through the papers at 6:47 with the writer and journalist James Rampton and the entrepreneur Alison Court. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Alison, let's start with the Times.
Yes.
We're looking at the COVID inquiry.
Yes. Well, obviously the headline is saying inexcusable pandemic delays cost 23,000 lives. I have to say on this occasion I'd probably side with the government in the sense that I think it's fundamentally a bit unfair and a bit too simplistic to say this. You know, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but we have to remember that this was unprecedented, it was global. If there is a criticism, I would say, how is it that with all the data available to governments that this wasn't anticipated and more, you know, we weren't better prepared for it. But in terms of the criticism of Boris Johnson, you know, I would say we've got to remember that he was also desperately ill and almost died during this period. Now, you could say, OK, so he could have delegated better, maybe. But as I said earlier, you know, it's very easy to criticise in retrospect. And I think the report does say that the total number of lives saved probably wouldn't have changed that much, even if different actions had been taken. The area that I would criticise, and I can, I think, comment on this because at the time I was quite close to the Conservative Party and I was also in manufacturing, so I did actually have conversations about the VIP lane. And I think that this was an area where you know, a lot of unnecessary stuff took place, and I think that's one of the more unattractive elements of what happened during the pandemic. You know, the corruption around PPE. That's the
I think there's still a lot of anger about it.
Yeah, there is.
There's a massive amount of anger, and the whole issue over the company associated with Michelle Mone has caused a huge furore. I would disagree with my good friend Alison about Mr Johnson. The report said he presided over a toxic, misogynistic culture that was completely chaotic, and there were allegations that he retired to Chequers to write a book during that crucial 10 days when the report said he should have locked down, and they say would have reduced deaths by 48% in that time, which equates to 23,000 people. To me, that tallies with the impression I had of Johnson as a complete narcissist, somebody who was only interested in himself, his own political reputation, put that ahead of public safety. Indeed, that's what the families of the bereaved have said. And somebody who can't even now apologise properly. I mean, Partygate, let's remember, he was the first Prime Minister ever to be found guilty of a criminal act while he was in office. He still hasn't properly apologised for that. He couldn't read the room, he couldn't read the country because he's so self-absorbed, and I do think that this inquiry underlines that. Somebody, unlike his hero Winston Churchill, who was the wrong man for the job at that time. He was an unserious person faced with a very, very serious task.
But I mean, so many people lost their own lives and people lost loved ones. You know, people are going to look for a scapegoat and answer in that situation. I mean, they were just allegations that he retired to Chequers to write a book. There's no evidence that he actually did that. And it kind of ties in with his somewhat chaotic personality, but that doesn't mean that he is to blame.
I was listening to Nadine Dorries this morning, who made the point that we were the first country to get jabs into arms, and she says that was in large part down to Boris Johnson and his work to do so, because there was talk about getting those vaccines off to the US, and he said, no, we have to start here, we have to start
Yeah, it's a good point.
And also said that there are enemies out there plotting against him. He has many enemies, and she made that point.
I just think, sorry, the real question for me is why and how did the whole thing start? And you know, that's what we're not really delving into. We're not delving into that, and that's the biggest question of all.
Things we don't know.
Yeah, so many.
To which we will probably never get an answer.
Yeah,
probably.
Can we have a look at this? Sticking with the Times, James. This Chinese embassy in London, the mega embassy, which is causing huge concern. It's being built over some crucial high-level cables that transfer high-level data and all this sort of stuff. There are real concerns about this. Apparently, it's going to get approval.
Yes, there was one thing at the root of this, I would say, one word sums it up: trade. I think the Chinese government has made it clear that there will be consequences, that very threatening word, if it's not permitted. And Dominic Cummings, who I don't agree with on virtually anything, says that they're building a spy centre beneath the embassy, or he's alleged that anyway. And there's a sense that we are handing the Chinese a massive opportunity here to create, you know, a possible spying operation. I'm not going to say that for sure, but you're right. The proximity of these cables carrying high-level information is concerning. It's right by the City of London. It's near the Tower of London. It's the epicentre of our economy. Would any other country give access to somebody with whom we're on ambiguous terms, to say the least, such access to the core of our economy?
I mean, this is a very high-profile example, but, you know, for some time they've been writing about, don't laugh, the proliferation of Chinese restaurants around sensitive military bases around the UK. And the possible connection, but I know, I said don't laugh, and the possible connection. But for me, it's, again, you know, it's OK, we're talking about this, but actually this has possibly been going on for some time. Why are we not more vigilant about our national security? Because it is of such paramount importance.
Yeah, and the trial against the two alleged British spies that was dropped, there are still many questions about why that was dropped, and they will continue, I think.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. All right, you two, we shall see you a little bit later on, but for now, thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Let us know what you think of any of those stories. gbnews.com/yoursay. Let's have a look now at the weather with Alex Deacon.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. But the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change, though, across northern Scotland. Thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now, the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing. But out west, things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland. Thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for our more than 2 million YouTube subscribers and more than 2 billion views. That is Britain watching, sharing and making its voice heard louder than ever before.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A85 is shut in both directions between Bridge of Orr and Inverlochy due to essential overnight roadworks, with no diversion routes available. At Slough, the M4 westbound entry slip at Junction 6 is closed following a vehicle fire, with normal conditions anticipated to resume by 12:51 this afternoon. A 7.5-tonne weight restriction is in effect for heavy goods vehicles on the M48 in both directions, effective from the 27th of May 2025 until further notice. And on the trains, delays are reported between Norwich and Thetford on the East Midlands Railway, with a reduced service on the Island Line. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could win your Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The COVID-19 inquiry finds the government response to the pandemic was too little, too late.
Well, it found that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely and ministers could have reacted more quickly to the emerging threat of the virus.
Lady Hallett found up to 23,000 lives could have been saved if the first lockdown had been imposed just a week earlier.
But after a £200 million inquiry, which has taken over 2 years, question is, will anyone ever be held responsible?
Also today, Russia could be welcomed back to the G7 and freed from Western sanctions under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine.
Fears that President Trump's boycott of the G20 summit in South Africa is going to overshadow the meeting of world leaders as they arrive in Johannesburg today.
Now, 60% of our farmers say they're at financial risk from supermarket buying behaviour, with 70% saying living through farming has never been harder.
And as the NHS could be left with huge holes in its medical workforce if foreign doctors leave the health service, we're asking this morning whether foreign workers should be used to plug the gaps.
And in sport this morning, England skittled out for 172 on day one of the first Ashes test in Perth. But Jofra Archer struck back with a wicket from his second ball. Australia currently 15 for 1. Northern Ireland and Wales won't both appear at the World Cup next year as the playoffs are announced. And from 2027, you'll need yet another subscription to watch Champions League football.
Things will be changing through the weekend, but for the time being, it is another cold day out there where we've seen showers through the night. Could be quite icy first thing this morning. The snow showers, though, are fading away, and for many, it'll be a sunny one. Join me later for a full forecast.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Can we talk Ofgem, the energy cap? Oh, aren't we all familiar with this, how much it went up over the years? We were expecting the energy cap to drop by about 1%. Anyway, it hasn't.
No, breaking news in the past few minutes. An unexpected rise to energy bills in January. The average annual energy bill is going to rise by 0.2% in January. And that is despite wholesale costs falling. This is an announcement by Ofgem in the past few minutes.
Yeah. Now, this only lasts until March, but what this means is that we talk about these sort of average prices, don't we? Now, but that's based on an average family and how much energy they use, because this is sort of a price per unit. So if you use more, you'll pay more.
Yeah.
However, what we're looking at in terms of the bill is 1,758, up from 1,755. Now, that's a monthly increase of about 28p. So there's nothing to panic about. It's basically staying flat. But nevertheless, it's not the direction we want things to move in. Justin Urquhart-Stewart is here, who knows all about these things, thank heavens. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you. Why is it that we are saying, it's a minimal increase, right? Absolutely minimal. Nevertheless, wholesale costs have gone down somewhat. So why are we seeing this?
Yes, you see, it's not quite as easy as you think. You think, sure, the price of energy goes up and down, therefore that's what I pay. No. Actually, what this consists of, yes, it's gas and electricity, but all the other charges, maintenance, repair, all those other, a whole range of things, just the background of actually producing power and delivering it to you. So if we actually have a look there, and what you'll find is actually those charges will have been going up. What I was expecting this time, actually, was the price would actually go down and they'd push that forward to next year. And what they've done now is actually put it through here. Yes, the power price is down. Therefore, think, well, let's get some of those maintenance charges in now, because it'll be more embarrassing if we then see prices going up later in the spring, if we have a cold winter. Who knows what's going to happen? So, yes, hardly cheap, but it's up a little bit. But bear in mind, of course, where we were 4 or 5 years ago, when it was considerably cheaper before we had to go through all of this. Is this going to change? One of the biggest problems we've got, of course, is the actual infrastructure itself. You look at the figures over the past few days, we had an awful lot of power being produced courtesy of wind. Everyone criticised the entire time, over 50% of it. Very good value. We haven't got the infrastructure to get the power from parts of those windmills down to the southeast, where it's primarily being used, because we don't have the proper infrastructure. We've got National Grid, but it's out of date. It was out of date 30 years ago. But unfortunately, it's not one of the particularly sexy things that people sit there and say, I want a new pylon, please. In fact, no one wants a pylon at all. But they actually upgrade the whole power system.
So when do you think we'll actually see bills come down?
Yes, right. And when will it stop raining?
Or snowing at this point?
And the answer is it's going to be when you actually start getting a level of stability coming in terms of infrastructure. So you actually get to a level, it's got to upgraded, and you don't need to actually spend a whole lot more, some maintenance and things like that. And then also actually find ourselves in a position where you have more sustainable projected levels of power production. And that's been one of the problems. It's all very well going green, but if the wind don't blow and the sun don't shine, they're going to have more problems. So we need greater sustainability. That means more nuclear, but you can't switch on nuclear. It takes time to be able to do so.
And you're looking about 10 years, aren't you, for a proper plant?
Absolutely. Even if you've got the smaller plants coming through, we're still dependent upon coming through the inter-network coming out of Europe. We get a certain amount coming out of that as well. And, of course, that's not a very good position to be in.
In terms of the infrastructure, then, because that's going to be, and prices coming down, you said we're not going to see any significant... Whatever happens to the wholesale cost of gas, we're not going to see significant reductions until infrastructure is redone. Has that not been going on like a sort of a constant progress over the years?
You'd like to think so. And if you actually look at the reports in the power companies, they'd say yes. You actually look at what's been going on. It's a bit like our defence budget. When we had the whole issue with the fall of the communism, suddenly everyone said, oh, that's jolly good. We don't need to spend money on defence anymore. No, we'll carry on... No, we didn't. We cut and we slashed and we decided to go back to just having bows and arrows. So the same thing, I'm afraid, with this. If the eye's off the ball, then people won't be spending. It's no longer a priority because, obviously, other things, if you're a politician, will get the votes. NHS, all those sort of things. Boring things such as power connectors and things like that ain't terribly sexy and aren't necessarily going to get you many votes until the lights go out.
We all need it, don't we?
We do.
We all rely on it. Thank you very much, Justin, for bringing that to us.
So, so it's not a happy long-term picture, is the conclusion from Justin there, because we've got to get that infrastructure sorted. I mean, it's billions and hundreds of billions.
It's investment, isn't it? Huge investment, yeah. Which we don't have at the moment, we keep being told.
Yeah, but the good news with this change in the price cap is don't panic. It's basically staying flat. 28p a month more it's 7p a week, isn't it? So a penny a day or thereabouts. So it's, it's not going to... it's not going to significantly affect anyone that way unless you were desperate for a price cut, because obviously you can't afford what you're using anyway, which of course does apply to a lot of people as well. But anyway, at least it's not going significantly up.
Yeah, good point. Now, at 7:07, let's look at our top story this morning, which is that a public inquiry has concluded that the government's failure to take COVID-19 seriously cost 23,000 lives in the first wave of the pandemic.
The inquiry says the government response in March 2020 was too little, too late.
Also, it found that lockdown could have been avoided altogether if steps such as social distancing and isolating those with symptoms had been introduced earlier.
It's also talked about a toxic and chaotic culture in government affecting decision-making, and says that Boris Johnson, who was Prime Minister at the time, failed to tackle it.
Well, joining us now in the studio is Deputy Editor for The Spectator, James Heal. Morning to you, James. What do you make of it all?
Well, I don't think there's a huge amount here which surprised us in terms of the top-line figures. 800-page report. We're still going through it all, and many of the key players involved have not yet responded, apart from, I think, Dominic Cummings, who dismissed it as the Inspector Clouseau inquiry. Look, I think that every different newspaper will have a different take on it. I think that people listening to this will base it on their experience at the time. For some, it will be about school closures. Others will be saying that, actually, we shouldn't have had the lockdowns in the terms of the order we had them. And so I do think that it's going to be one of the things that carries on rumbling. I think lots of people have a view on it. It obviously affected all of our lives for 18 months. And, of course, we are still living, as we talk about things like inflation, still living through the transitory effects of all the different things.
I just wonder what this has achieved so far. 2 years, waited 2 years for this. What actually does it tell us that is of any use?
Well, I think it confirms a lot of what we knew already, that there was a chaotic culture in Number 10, and I suppose that's by spending many, many hours interviewing scores of different witnesses over different months. It also, for instance, talks about sort of policy making and preparedness. There's also things such as committee systems. So, for instance, if we had another different scientific crisis tomorrow, another pandemic of some kind, whether SAGE, which was the committee, should change its model, etc. So there are some things where you go, OK, planning for future crises. But I do worry, Stephen, that, as you say, that there hasn't been enough of that kind of looking forward to future crises, because obviously the COVID came along and it's found wanting in lots of different ways, but have we actually improved those systems? And I fear that when we talk about things such as 23,000 dead without context, we are simply preparing the system to overreact next time in a way which doesn't consider trade-offs, which is the big crisis of British politics. You're just talking now about energy infrastructure and the sort of trade-offs involved in that. That is one of the key things that comes out for me from this report, is actually having that kind of balance, and there wasn't enough effect of sort of short, medium and long-term effects.
What do you make of the criticism of Boris Johnson that he presided over a toxic, sexist and chaotic culture, talking about women being marginalised and also not being able to control Dominic Cummings?
Well, I certainly think that it wasn't exactly a sort of, happy place. If you talk to people who were working in that number 10, it wasn't exactly a sort of Garden of Eden. I think that there very much clearly were issues in terms of how it all works. I mean, the key point is how much does that lie with the principal versus the institutions. I might suggest that the subsequent prime ministers have shown that some of those issues involved in terms of personnel were not simply just restricted to Boris Johnson, but clearly he was quite a chaotic man to work for, and I think every employee of his who's ever worked with him will testify.
You sort of wonder whether, certainly not everyone, but there's a growing sense, and because we hear a lot of people, a lot of commentators say it on the show, they're very anti-lockdown, very, some of them anti-vaccine, all these measures, anti-masks and all the rest of it. And you get the impression they wanted this inquiry to say, well, there shouldn't have been lockdowns, we didn't need lockdowns, we didn't need all this stuff. Actually, what they're saying is we should have had more lockdowns, or at least we should have had a lockdown earlier on.
I certainly think that it depends on how people weigh different kind of expertise in all of this. I would simply make the point that we talk about masks there, Stephen. I think that people who say that, the science said X, Y, Z, well, the science was a very changing and fluid thing. And I think that it all depends on sort of trade-offs overall. So I think that the debate is going to carry on because it all depends on how we weigh a different life. There were some old people, for instance, who thought it was a scandal that their grandchildren could go to school. Others equally were watching loved ones dying, and it's a very hard thing to kind of weigh those different rationale, head and heart together.
Yeah, and talking about those costs, front page of the Daily Mail today focuses on the cost on children and education. And like you say, things we already knew. But young lives were blighted by all of this. And that's despite the fact the vast majority of children are immune to COVID-19.
Absolutely. And we all weigh in public health different trade-offs. When the NHS, for instance, is deciding which medicines to buy or buy from NICE, they have to make the decision about how much they're worth in their budget. So I think that when we go back to that time, and I remember covering it as a journalist, March 2020, it was an incredibly emotional, even hysterical time in terms of the screaming, etc. I don't think that, from my recollection, a Conservative Prime Minister could have resisted the pressures to lock down at that time. I would simply make the point that it wasn't just sort of the Conservatives in Westminster. It was also similar debates happening in sort of Scotland. Nicola Sturgeon, there was criticism that there wasn't locked down there enough. So I don't think it's necessarily a kind of ideological thing as well. It's also different balancing things. The economy as well, and lots of business sectors were saying, look, if you do this, you'll cripple us. So I do think that it's an evolving debate and one we're going to have for many, many years to come.
I mean, we're forgetting, with the children issue, what we forget is that the argument wasn't necessarily that children would become very ill, though some did become very ill and die. There were a very small percentage. But the argument was, if children are spreading the virus amongst themselves and then going home, it's who they're passing it on to when they get back, which we forget about.
Yeah, certainly. And I think, as I said, that those who, for instance, with disabilities, those who are sort of vulnerable parents, those could have been perhaps more better targeted. But it certainly does feel that many, hundreds of thousands of children's educations were affected, and we'll probably see the consequence of that policy making for years to come.
800 pages, £250,000 per page. Is it worth it?
I would probably say not. I think that the Inquiries Act 2005 has led to many hundreds of millions spent over different inquiries. For context, I think the Titanic inquiry was done and dusted within 3 months back 100 years ago, and I'm not manifestly sure what we knew now from this that we probably couldn't have guessed 4 or 5 years ago.
Had a view in saying, well, almost exactly that, saying an inquiry just won't bring those people back, it won't help us now. We need to focus on the mess that we're in at this present moment.
But I think also, why are we doing this inquiry? Well, it's because, of course, successive Prime Ministers, starting with Boris Johnson, had to do it, because otherwise they would have had people screaming, saying, you want to cover it up, etc. Wales hasn't gone for an inquiry, and they can see how ramifications there are. But I think that whoever was in charge would have done this inquiry, and it's just one of those kind of long-term cross-party things in British politics. We go along with these expensive inquiries because no one wants to grasp the nettle and give a conclusive answer on some of these really big, fundamental, intractable problems.
OK. James, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, 14 minutes past 7, let's get a check on the weather with Alex Deacon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold-feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Still to come for you, Russia could be welcomed back into the G7 and freed from all those Western sanctions under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine. But will it work for Ukraine? They've not been involved in this so far. We'll tell you more in a moment.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 7:20 now. Sir Keir Starmer says the future of Ukraine must be determined by Ukraine. Amid reports, the US has been secretly forging a plan with Russia to end the war.
Well, the White House has said to have pressed Kyiv to accept an agreement under which the invaded country would be required to give up territory and accept limits on the size of its army. Volodymyr Zelensky indicated he was ready to work on the Washington-backed plan.
US political analyst Noralie Knotson is here. Clearly, they're not going to just accept this plan as it stands, but what is intriguing is that it's not been rejected out of hand, despite the fact they'd lose territory.
That's a very good point that you make. We see truly a desire for peace right now. There's a harsh winter coming. People have limited energy in the Ukraine. And Trump has set a deadline of Thanksgiving to get a peace deal done. Obviously,
Which
Russia...
is next Thursday.
Which is next Thursday. Obviously, Russia was involved with Witkoff in drafting this 28-point plan. What's interesting is one of the points on there initially was that there would be a full audit of all the aid that has gone into the Ukraine. Zelensky has been under a lot of scrutiny for corruption that's been happening there. That's been scrapped, and now there's full amnesty. There's an agreement that Russia will not aggress Ukraine nor Europe, which I think is very important. But Europe's busy drafting its own plan, and we're going to see probably a lot of trading back and forth between the points between now and Thanksgiving.
John's been in touch saying Russia is the aggressor. Aggressors should not be rewarded. It's clear that Trump isn't bothered about Ukraine. So Europe will have to step in now, won't they? I mean, Ukraine and the likes of Sir Keir Starmer saying that this is about Ukraine, and Ukraine has to be heard in all of this in order to make it something that's acceptable on both sides. Because at the moment, it does seem to be very one-sided.
Well, there's a lot of economic incentives for the Ukraine in terms of, some of the land, the Donbass region. There is money for land. The nuclear power plant that was taken by Russia initially in the invasion, that will be split in terms of usage of the power between Russia, Ukraine. The U.S. will help to build up the gas pipelines in the Ukraine. The U.S. will help to invest in AI, data centers, $100 billion in sanctions. Well, that money that was Russian money will go to rebuild the Ukraine. I know it says in there that U.S. needs to get some profit from that. I don't know how that actually works. In terms of a 10-year guarantee, sort of an Article 5 type guarantee for the U.S. and Europe to back them militarily if they are attacked, I think that will most likely get extended and just be a full guarantee. So there's a lot of things that one can play with there to make it more palatable, I think, for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, I mean, security is the big thing.
Yes.
I mean, this says cut the Ukrainian army in half, which is problematic. But if you say you are going to have national security because of agreements and the United States and Europe, then that changes it slightly.
Yes, and it's not quite in half. It's taking it from 880,000 troops down to 600,000. So 600,000 is still significant. As we've seen from the Ukrainians, they are very strong fighters. But if they've got the backing of the U.S. and they've got the backing of the NATO allies, then that gives a sense of security, that if Russia does try to invade in the future, we will be there to stop it.
Talking to Kira Ruddick, who's been on this programme an awful lot in the last hour. I mean, you heard what she had to say. Again, I thought she'd kick back against
Yes,
this. She didn't.
No, there was weariness in her voice, and Zelensky as well yesterday came out and said they want to work with Trump. They want peace. I think everyone across the board is tired.
They're tired.
I can't imagine what it's been like to be a Ukrainian living through this. It's been absolutely horrific. But I also know here in London, for example, a lot of people that I talk to are concerned that this tips into something bigger that impacts all of us here where we are if we don't have peace. And that's what I think we need to stop.
Can I just ask about the Europe side? Because obviously the Prime Minister in Europe, I mean, certainly European leaders in France in particular, not happy with this.
No, they're not happy.
And so, they're trying to come up with their own agreement. Their own agreement isn't going to work, is it? Ukraine, though they've clearly had problems with Trump, need to work with America to make any of this work, to get that level of security, don't they?
Yes, they need to work with America to get that level of security. So I think some of the things that might be negotiated is the time period for the security guarantee. 10 years is not going to cut it.
No. But also, talking about wider implications for Europe, I mean, Russia needs to be taught a lesson in the sense that if it invades a sovereign country, it won't be allowed to keep that land. I mean, Europe won't sit aside and allow Russia to get away with it, inverted commas.
I understand the point that you're making. And if we look at the way Trump looks at it, he's like, one, there was the issue with NATO, Ukraine joining NATO. That was what he believes sparked the invasion. And in parts of the Ukraine that is now being suggested as the land swap, that's where you've got already Russian primarily control of that land. So any sort of ceasefire would normally stop where there is control. So it's sort of saying, OK, let's just stop where we are now. We got to learn to get on with our neighbor, whether we like their ideology or not. And of course, we all suffer because of energy prices. And so Europe has paid a very large cost because of this war. And we don't have our own energy independence here in the UK.
No.
And where was most of it coming from? Russia via Ukraine into Europe.
Yeah. All right, Nora-Lee Knotson, really appreciate your views on that. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Now, do stay with us still to come. The Ashes have begun down under, and things might not be looking so bad for England. Paul's going to be here next with the sport.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the nation. Because the truth matters, and so do you.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A90 northbound at Claverhouse is partially blocked due to a broken down vehicle, causing delays for drivers in the area. In Buckinghamshire, the M4 westbound entry slip at Junction 7 has all lanes closed due to a vehicle fire. Expected resolution is anticipated around 1:32 this afternoon. On the M48, both directions are subject to a weight restriction of 7.5 tonnes for heavy goods vehicles starting from the 27th of May 2025 until further notice. And on the trains, expect delays between Norwich and Thetford on the East Midlands Railway, as well as a reduced service on the Island Line. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Lots of you getting in touch this morning. Henry's been in touch on the COVID inquiry, saying hindsight, the easiest thing in the world. We always seem to want to blame these days. I believe the inquiry is wasted money.
Yeah, I don't think blame does any good. If it tells us how better to respond next time, because there will be a next time, that's something else, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, and on the energy prices, Les says the cost of electricity, well, which is driven by gas as well, determines the cost of everything else. We have the most expensive energy in the developed world. We do. The government says it's working on bringing that down, actually. We know this is...
Clean energy.
Yeah, this is Martin McCluskey, the Manager for Energy Consumers, says, we know energy bills remain too high. That is why we're taking immediate action, with millions of families getting £150 off their bills through the expanded Warm Home Winter Discount Scheme. Though, of course, they've taken it off a load of pensioners.
Yes. Let us know what you think on that one, gbnews.com/yoursay. Actually, there is a brand new way to take part in the conversation as well. You can become a friend of GB News for free. Take a look.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
Gum. Oh. Welcome back.
I was expecting something else then, I don't know what.
Thought there might be a little sting or something.
Yes,
But anyway,
a
welcome
sting.
back.
A little sting.
We're going into our sports news now with the broadcaster, Paul Coit.
I'd like to have a little sting, a little sporty sting.
I think we should have a little...
La 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 la, something like that, because that's what they do.
jingle.
That would be nice.
If you will.
Right, should we talk about the cricket?
Yeah.
So the Ashes are going on.
Down under.
In Perth, down under, at the moment. And a bit of a bad start, I think it's fair to say, for England. 172 all out. And Joe Root out for a duck, and the rest of them didn't do terribly well. But there is light at the end of this Ashes tunnel.
Is there?
Although there's a long way to go. I mean, it's only the last session now on day one. And as soon as Australia go in, and I'm thinking, here we go, they're going to score 400-500. Jofra Archer, second ball, we get a wicket, which is great. LBW, and they are struggling. Australia, 19 for 1 at the moment, and the bowlers are bowling very well for England.
Good.
So it's early days, 172. I mean, it seemed like that was going to be a disastrous score, but it may not be all bad. So it's very early days in the Ashes test because you have 5 days, of course, in the first one. Well, they're all 5 days, but we're only first one through. Yeah. So there we are. So that's how we're looking at the moment. Also, you know what? If you're at Birmingham City, this new stadium...
Oh, it's a massive project,
It really is. And also, I've never seen anything like this before. Have a look at this. See what you think of this. I think we've got how it'll look. Well, look at that. Now, what do you think's going on there? What do you think of... Now, if you're listening on the radio, it's a big stadium with a load of chimneys around the outside.
It looks like... Yeah, my first thought was Battersea Power Station.
It does look rather like Battersea Power Station, that's true.
Or a crown.
Did you know that only 3 of the chimneys at Battersea Power Station were ever working?
Really?
Really?
Because one was there, because it would have looked a bit lopsided, wouldn't it? So they added another one. Anyway, that's another
It
story.
looks a bit industrial.
It does look industrial, and that's the whole idea. That's exactly
is
right.
it?
So it's the new £1.2 billion stadium for Birmingham City, because they've got American owners now, Tom Brady involved. So they're the next club that think, well, there's going to be money, we can really turn it into something. See, there's a little... That's a little model, but with respect, it doesn't look too great for the model. It looks like a cake, doesn't it? It looks like a dodgy birthday cake.
It was a cake.
Yeah.
Is it not a cake?
Oh, can we not talk about cake?
I'm not liking it. I've got to be honest, I'm
You
not
don't
liking it.
don't like the chimneys?
No.
It's the early days, they're calling it Powerhouse Stadium, 12 chimney towers, 120 metres tall, which could be seen for 40 miles away.
It looks like an arts and crafts project.
That does,
An
doesn't it?
unfinished one.
From what we see, that's what they're unveiling. It does look like some kids have got together and made this thing and put that. It doesn't look so great.
It's got smoke coming out the chimneys on the model. Is that what's going to happen? Yeah.
Has it got smoke coming out?
It does, yeah.
Do you reckon that's like a little trick and they go, hang on, stand back, and then you get
like dry ice
like those
or
really bad indoor fireworks that would go... But they echo the brickworks that were once on the site where they're building the stadium, and it echoes the city's industrial heritage. But then again, you don't want to just make it look like a big industrial thing, do you?
No.
It's got to have some
I'm
beauty
not sold.
I'm a bit uninspired, if I'm honest.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? Is when they had the Brunel stuff for the 2012 Olympics opening, you know, and they have the chimneys go up because... But the thing is, all the dark satanic mills, they were never really that pretty, were they? So, you know, you got to... Anyway, I'm not... Just to let you know, Birmingham, I'm not completely against it. It's, you know, it's different, isn't it?
Just think it could be a bit more stylish.
Yeah, you think so? A little prettier.
Well, they want a bit of star quality, don't they?
Yeah, and apparently, I see where you're going on this. Are you talking to me about Jude Bellingham? Is that what you're saying?
Talking to you about Jude Bellingham.
Talking to me about Jude Bellingham. Well, of course, everybody wants Jude Bellingham because Jude Bellingham left Birmingham City when he was very young and went to Borussia Dortmund, and it's the first time that ever they had retired the shirt, which is a real American thing to do. If you've got a legend, we're going to retire the shirt. Nobody's ever going to wear 22 again. And when Birmingham did it, everybody raised their eyebrows. What, are you serious? What, this kid going? But then they were right about him, so maybe he would come back and get that shirt. But Birmingham are going to have to be a lot better before Jude Bellingham comes back. There's no doubt about that. It's not just about the money. Would you like to play birthdays?
Oh, yes, please.
Please.
We haven't played birthdays for a while, so we've got some sporting birthdays. Some tricky, but, you know, this is not an easy game. A man came up to me yesterday, I was doing an event, and he said, oh, I love GB News. And then he went, can you guess how old I am? And I thought, why are you asking me that? But, of course, because he loves playing birthdays. It's
somebody came up to me the other day and said, I'm really rubbish at breakfast birthdays and I need to go lower. So I'm going to bear that in mind today.
OK, fine.
Because I was making up on 10 years old.
Depends on the sport.
Actually are.
And it depends on the sport. We know if it's a golfer, you have to go a little lower. But anyway, let's go with the first one. So breakfast birthdays, who have we got first? It's Alan Smith. Alan, he's a nice man. I mean, look, he plays for Arsenal and it's the North London derby, and he does seem to... When he talks about Spurs, it makes me a little unhappy. But there's Alan Smith. He's a lovely fella. Arsenal striker from the late 80s. I would say early 80s, late 80s.
I'm going to go 58.
58 for Alan Smith.
56.
It's funny, that's what they guessed out in the office. Right around that. 63 he is.
Oh, it's looking good.
Nice man. Happy birthday.
Right.
Smudger Smith. Right, next one. Oh, it's Boris. But now this is tomorrow.
It's Boris.
This is tomorrow because I've got a few going into the weekend. How old do you think Boris Becker is?
Boris Becker is 63.
I bet you wish he looked like that now.
I'm going to go 59.
58.
Oh, very
Not
close.
bad.
Very good.
Not bad. Should we go with another one? Another tennis legend, Billie Jean King.
Oh, it's Billie Jean King.
Billie Jean King.
73.
73 now. Oh, I think you're undercooking this one. I'll let you go again.
80.
80 is good.
81.
82.
Oh,
nearly said Billie Jean King is 82. Do we have another one? Do we got time for another one? Let's go with another one. Oh, it's Björk.
Oh, Lord.
Björk Gudmundsdottir, who's named Gudmundsdottir because she's Icelandic, which means her father is called Gudmund because she's the daughter of Gudmund, and if she had a brother, his name would be Gudmundsson. Do you follow that?
You're right.
That's how things work in Iceland.
I see.
So Björk, by the way, I thought I'd show that because that's my favourite Björk hat.
Is
Look
that a
at
hat?
that. So how old do you think Björk is today?
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't believe she's played any sport, but it doesn't matter. It's her birthday.
She looks about 12.
She does look about 12. She sounds about 12 when she sings, but she is quite a fair bit older. You know Björk, right? Venus is a Boy and all that stuff.
55. 56, actually, I'm going to say.
OK.
56.
Listen, I'll tell you this, between you two, it's a big birthday for Björk, so which one is it?
50. 40.
That's going to be 50, if it's a big birthday.
60.
She's
No
not.
way.
It's 60 today.
No way.
Unbelievable. That was her back in 1983, by the way. No, it wasn't. No, she's 60 today.
Is she really?
Yes, she is.
She's looking good on 60.
Does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Really old.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I knew she was a little bit older than me. I don't think it was
60.
No, but then why would I say 50?
Why would you say 50 then?
There you go.
Well, you've just answered
I'm an
your
idiot.
own question.
No.
Never. Don't say these things.
Listen, we'll play again. You can put it right. Yeah. Happy birthday, Björk.
Happy birthday.
Goodman's.ie.
Right.
That was Coity.
Time for the giveaway now. There's only a week left. I think it's a week today, actually.
So that Christmas can...
Flow easily.
Without any worry.
Can flow without any worries because you'd have 40 grand in tax-free cash in your pocket, £1,000 in supermarket vouchers to spend on Christmas dinner, and a GB News goodie bag you can give away to someone. Here's how you enter.
There's just 34 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, it's very, very loud over there.
Talking, gossiping.
James Rampton and Alison Court waiting in the wings to go through the papers with us. We're going to be talking about a new weight loss pill. Look, they're behaving now. Look at them. A new weight loss pill that could make weight loss more affordable than the jabs.
I don't trust them. They both look a bit shifty to me.
What, the weight loss jabs or these two?
No, these two.
Oh, yeah.
Look at them.
They're
shifty,
up to
nervous.
mischief, I'd say.
Yes.
What's
I don't
going
know.
on, you two?
We'll find out what they've got to say for themselves in a moment. First, though, here's a European forecast.
Can't wait to get in that sea. Lovely and warm. Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy rain and strong winds likely in Italy and Croatia for the first part of the weekend. Meanwhile, it's fine and sunny for most of Spain and Portugal. Chance of some showers for Madeira and also across the Canaries. Sunny but not particularly warm across much of Spain and Portugal. Wet and windy weather, especially for southern Italy, Sicily and parts of Croatia and mainland Greece. Many of the Greek islands dry and fine on Saturday, but it will be cloudy here on Sunday. By the time we get to next week, it looks a little warmer for Rome and Dubrovnik.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
And all the way around it, there's going to be 1 million bricks with 1 million answered prayers, so people can take their smartphones, scan a prayer, and see how it was answered. I'm joined now by Richard Gamble. You're the founder of this project. Just tell us about it and what inspired you.
So the concept is we want to bring hope to people, and anyone coming will be able to point their phone at any one of the bricks, and their phone will light up and tell them the story of answered prayer. And God spoke to me about this 21 years ago, so it's been a roller coaster journey. So it's just a real thrill today that we can get started, and we want to proclaim to the nation that Jesus is alive, he listens, and he answers our prayers.
And how important do you think this is now in this day and age?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we're doing is we're not just collecting the answered prayers from now, but from all of history. So we want to preserve the Christian heritage of the nation and get schools and colleges to come and visit and find out all the stories of what God's done through our history. And I think particularly now that's more important than ever.
And you didn't want it to look like a religious monument as such, like Christ the Redeemer?
Yeah, when we ran a global competition with the Royal Institute of British Architects, we didn't want it to have the Christian iconography. We wanted to be a stunning structural design that basically encourages people to come along, have a look, and when they come they'll be able to see all these tiny bricks on it and realise how big a million is. And I hope as a piece of art that's going to inspire millions of people to think about praying.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Welcome back. We are going through the papers in the company of James Rampton and Alison Cork this morning. Morning, you two.
Hi.
James, so we start with the Telegraph and this proposed peace plan for Ukraine.
Yes, it's a good bit of journalism here in the Telegraph. They've got hold of the 28-point peace plan that's been under lock and key, and they've discovered some astonishing pieces of information here. The main one, I think, is that under this agreement, Ukraine would have to hand over the entire Donbass, which Russia hasn't even taken yet, and the whole of Crimea, slash their army in two, get rid of all their weapons that could attack Russia. And my first reaction is, how on earth do they expect Ukraine to agree to that? That's what they've been fighting tooth and nail for the last 3 years. They can't suddenly say, oh, well, President Trump's telling us to give up all this land. It would be absolutely bonkers. And indeed, people within the Ukraine government are saying it's absurd, this plan, it's unacceptable. They're also saying it's designed to stir up division in Ukraine, and that would be classic tactics by Putin. He's very, very good at the mind games, the black ops, if you like.
Donbass has got a big sort of, I mean, I'm not saying it's the entirety of it, but there are separatists in Donbass, sort of Ukrainians who support Russia.
There are Russian speakers there, but there are loads of people who aren't, who would be subsumed into Russia, and I can't imagine they would say, after all these years of bloody war, thousands and thousands of people in Ukraine have lost their lives. They'd say, oh, fine, we'll just go and sleep with the enemy, if you like. We'll go and live with Russia without making any complaint at all.
Well, it's a negotiation, though, isn't it?
It's a tactic, I'm sure.
I think what this story illustrates for me is that quite often there are undercurrents of negotiation that we as the public are never really aware of. And my understanding is that there was so much corruption around the aid that went to Ukraine that this is forming part of the sort of strong-arming of, well, actually, you will agree to this because of what's gone on.
Well, so there's allegations of that. Have we got any proof of it?
Apparently, well, allegations.
Or is it Russian propaganda?
It could be. So, you know, it's stories within stories, isn't it? But I think it sort of illustrates the general point that quite often there are undercurrents that we're never aware of. We see the headlines, but maybe, you know, it's a bit more nuanced than that.
Well, you're right, but I do agree with Stephen. The psyops that the Russians use are sophisticated, or even sometimes not so sophisticated. If you remember at the beginning of the war, the special military operation, as Putin called it, he accused the Ukrainian government of being Nazi, and that was his justification for the invasion. And apparently many people in Russia bought that. It's complete nonsense. But he will drip these ideas into the narrative in the hope that he will be perceived as more favourably and justified in an unwarranted attack on a neighbour.
And equally, you've got Trump, who, you know, at his heart is a businessman and very, very skilled at negotiation. So he will leverage any advantage he sees to move the pieces on the board. And you know, and it could be that the foreign aid thing is the foreign aid is something that he has alighted upon and said, well, actually, guys, I'm going to use this to negotiate your position.
Well, we know he wants the rare metals from Ukraine as a counteraction against Chinese dominance of that market. He is a businessman.
And there would be a financial incentive in terms of the rebuilding of Ukraine and energy plants and whatnot. Alison, let's look at something totally different, shall we? Meghan Markle in the Daily Mail this morning.
Oh, my goodness. So this is all about the etiquette of an interview and whether, you know, who is announced to who when a member of royalty walks into the room. And apparently, you know, Meghan got it wrong. But actually, what this story says to me is it just smacks of desperation. You know, I always remember that early interview with Harry where she made, and it was really embarrassing, and you could see him wincing in the background, even though he was at that stage sort of completely over the top in love with her, of her making a slight mockery of the way she curtsied to the Queen when she first ever met her, and she just sort of did this exaggerated sweep of the arms, and I just remember watching it thinking, oh, no, don't do that. And I think that, you know, here's a woman who now has to resort to PR however and wherever she can get it. This is really a non-story. It highlights nothing other than her own insecurity. That's what it says to me.
She's announced when she walks into a room, even if there's sort of nobody in there.
Well, there was one person who was the journalist who was going to interview her.
Interviewer, yeah.
I really love the detail of the piece as well, because she made this big deal about how brave she was to make jam. I mean, when I make jam, everything explodes and the whole kitchen is covered in jam. So it's brave to do, and I put a hazmat suit on and everything. But, you know, it's absolutely absurd to describe yourself as brave for making jam. Brave are the people defending Ukraine. Brave are not the people in $15 million houses in Montecito making jam.
No.
Yeah.
But it's a different world they live in.
We're just jealous.
I think we're just bored, actually, of this story.
We can all be jealous of money and things. It doesn't buy you happiness. I want to be them for all.
Just buys you jam, I think.
Money does buy you pills to help you lose weight, though.
Yes, so this is an interesting one. So, obviously, Mounjaro and Ozempic went up greatly in price, and that, you know, it was more Mounjaro that doubled or tripled, and, you know, that just felt like people being taken advantage of. And I think that, therefore, something which makes weight loss more affordable is to be applauded. But the thing that bothers me about this is that it talks about a new daily pill that can help people shift up to 1/10 of their mass. Now, the reason that the weight loss drugs worked and were so popular is that people want big results and they want them instantly. And, you know, the people I've seen use Mounjaro and Ozempic, and this is a generalisation, have tended to be people who want to shift a lot of weight quickly. So I'm not sure that if you say to people, do it a little more slowly and carefully, that that's quite going to hit the mark.
No, maybe not.
Alison James, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you in the next hour.
Right, time for the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps you won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A90 northbound at Claverhouse is blocked by a broken down vehicle. In Staffordshire, congestion affects the A38 northbound, causing a 10-minute delay. The M4 westbound in Windsor and Maidenhead is closed between junctions 6 and 8 due to a vehicle fire. In Hampshire, the M27 eastbound has one lane closed at junction 8 due to a breakdown. The M48 has a 7.5-ton weight restriction for heavy goods vehicles from May 27th, 2025 until further notice. And on the trains, the Island Line has buses replacing trains between Corkickle and Whitehaven. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could win your Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the
GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country. Good morning. The COVID-19 inquiry finds the government response to the pandemic was too little, too late.
It found that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely and ministers could have reacted more quickly to the emerging threat of the virus.
Well, Lady Hallett found up to 23,000 lives could have been saved if the first lockdown had been imposed just a week earlier.
But after a £200 million inquiry, which has taken over 2 years, will anyone ever be held responsible?
The breaking news this morning, and it's a little bit unexpected, the energy cap is going up by 0.2% in January. It's 28 pence a month for the average household, but we were expecting it to fall.
Russia could be welcomed back to the G7 and freed from Western sanctions. It's under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine.
Well, fears that President Trump's boycott of the G20 summit in South Africa will overshadow the meeting of world leaders as they arrive in Johannesburg today.
60% of farmers say they are at financial risk from supermarket buying behaviour, with nearly 70% saying living through farming has never been harder.
We're told this morning the NHS could be left with huge holes to fill in its medical workforce because of foreign doctors leaving the health service. So we're asking, should we really be using foreign workers to plug the gaps?
And in sport, well, it's all kicking off in Perth at the moment. England skittled out for 172 on day one of the first Ashes test. But England are bowling extremely well and have Australia on the ropes now. That's, OK, I'm going to make mistakes, so I'm getting excited, at 30 for 4. I'll relax. Northern Ireland and Wales won't both appear together now at the World Cup as the playoffs are announced. And from 2027, you'll need yet another subscription to watch Champions League football.
Things will be changing through the weekend, but for the time being, it is another cold day out there where we've seen showers through the night. Could be quite icy first thing this morning. The snow showers, though, are fading away, and for many, it'll be a sunny one. Join me later for a full forecast.
Just gone 8 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, the big news this morning is the results of this stage of the COVID inquiry. 23,000 lives could have been saved if we'd had a lockdown a week earlier, apparently. Too little, too late, chaos in government. Let's talk to the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Alex Burkhart. Good morning to you. It's nice to see you. I mean, it's on the surface, at least, it looks like quite a condemnation of how the Conservatives ran this.
Yeah, look, I know that this inquiry is going to dredge up a lot of bad memories for a lot of people, and I think it's you know, just coming in to talk to you this morning, thinking about the people who I know who didn't make it out of the pandemic, and I know that there'll be a lot of your viewers thinking the same thing right now, and I think this report is one way of looking at things. if you look very carefully at what the inquiry said yesterday, it suggested that if the country had locked down sooner in March 2020, lives would have been saved. But it also said that the scientific advice that was given to the government at that point was telling the government not to lock down earlier. And I'm not blaming the scientists, I'm just saying that this is an establishment of the facts as they were at the time. But I'd also like to see the inquiry look deeply at ultimately what the next government will need to do. If there's a pandemic in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, God forbid, what should government do differently? What are the lessons that we've learned? How do we make sure that government gets the best scientific advice that it can in the most timely fashion? How do we make sure that the mechanisms of government work as efficiently and effectively as they can? What have we learned from the experience of other countries like Sweden that did things very differently? I really hope all of this stuff is going to come out as the inquiry moves on. This is just one set of reports. There's a lot more to come. But I really hope we're going to get to the future and not just look at the past.
Well, the report focused on children and what it meant, these lockdowns, how damaging they were to children. It said young lives were blighted, though the vast majority of children were immune to this deadly virus. It also goes on to say that their education and well-being was sacrificed to save their elders. Now, you were working in the Department of Education at the time, weren't you? In hindsight, do you think that the government let down our children?
So I started working in the Department for Education, I think, in about 2022. But education's something I've always been very interested in. I was a teacher, my parents were teachers, and it's very, very important to me. I have had very great reservations about the later lockdowns, particularly because of the impact that they were having on children's education. I know a lot of children who were heavily impacted, whose lives were impacted by those restrictions. And I think it's exactly, look, ultimately, any inquiry needs to be able to advise future government about how to make incredibly difficult decisions across a number of areas. You've obviously got to try and save lives, you've got to think about the financial cost of any intervention you're making, and you've got to think about the long-term effect on the next generation and on every generation, the sort of social and emotional impact. And the people who sit at the top of our country in moments like this have the most extraordinary responsibility and most incredibly difficult task. Hopefully the process of an inquiry will be to help the next generation of leaders be able to make those decisions in the light of the experiences that we had during COVID.
I mean, in a way, that it's the problem with hindsight in all of this sort of business, though, isn't it? I mean, you are you are effectively saying when you're making these decisions, you're balancing financial cost, social cost, your emotional and well-being cost of the kids and everybody else in the country. You're balancing that against how many people you're prepared to see die. Ultimately, you save more lives, you cause more emotional imbalance.
That's right. It's for people, political leaders who had to make decisions at moments like these. You have the whole world on your shoulders, and I'm just very cautious about attributing blame. I wasn't a minister at the time at the start of the pandemic, but I know people who were, and they had to have really difficult conversations. The science kept changing, not blaming the scientists, an incredibly difficult thing to understand. We hadn't seen anything like this since 1919, the end of the First World War and Spanish influenza. But you're working in an incredibly fast-moving and complex environment. And as you say, with hindsight, people can see that maybe things should be done differently. But what we have to use that hindsight, that information for, is making sure that in future, or trying to make sure that in future, our political leaders, if they're faced with anything like this again, can make good decisions.
Well, talking about that, lots of criticism levelled to Boris Johnson in this report. Lady Hallett talking about a toxic, sexist and chaotic culture at the heart of government. Do you think Boris Johnson led the government well during that time? Do you recognise that criticism that's levelled at him?
I don't actually, and I remember. So from the beginning of January, when Parliament came back after the Christmas break, to about, I think I left London on around about the 25th of March, and so I wasn't working in Number 10. I was a political aide, but I did speak to a lot of people in Number 10, and I spoke to a lot of ministers, and I don't in that period they certainly don't recognise that description. I just remember a very stressful, intense, fast-moving environment in which everyone was trying to do the best thing for the country that they possibly could. That everyone was working incredibly long hours to try and work out what this thing was and what the possible solutions might be, and trying to balance all of the difficult things that we've been talking about. And I'm certainly not going to criticise the Prime Minister of the day, who had the most incredibly huge responsibility, and who, as I'm sure your viewers will remember, very nearly died, I think in April of that year, but having contracted the virus himself and been hospitalised. And I remember that episode very starkly.
OK, Alex Burkhardt, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thanks
for braving the cold for us. Thank you very much.
Let's see what our political correspondent Catherine Forster makes of all of this. I mean, actually, he made some very good points, because I know a lot of people are wanting to point fingers, and you understand why, but in terms of building our resilience for any future situation, it doesn't actually do us any good.
No, obviously they were incredibly difficult decisions, but at the end, if you're in government, if you're at the top of government, the Prime Minister and others, that is your job to take difficult decisions. And, you know, the findings that if lockdown had happened earlier, lives, they say 23,000, I mean, I don't think we'll ever know, but could have been saved, but also that a full lockdown could have been entirely avoided. And we know what the cost of those lockdowns were to the economy, also to children, as you've mentioned, in particular. And I think remembering back, the lockdown, they clearly didn't want to do it. People were changing their behaviour already. But things like the Cheltenham Festival went ahead. Many thousands of people mingling at a time where we could see February half-term, what was happening in Italy. We could see horrendous things happening with people without ventilators. They were late. And I think a lot of this, as has been said, is stuff that we already know. This is only the second module of 10. It's moving very slowly. It's very expensive. It's obviously important to learn lessons for the future. But other countries have managed to do this all much, much quicker. But one thing I do think is really interesting, first, that a full lockdown could potentially have been avoided, but also this, quote, toxic, sexist and chaotic culture in Number 10. Now, worth saying, I was speaking to a Labour insider a couple of nights ago who pretty much would describe Number 10 in those terms now. But clearly, at the time, there were a lot of men making decisions. The schools were closed, the impact on children. I remember conversations were happening about reopening golf clubs and pubs and stuff before talking about reopening schools. And, you know, the consequences, I think many young people are still living with now, and the economy was certainly still paying the price.
I mean, Nadine Dorries has been out to defend Boris Johnson, as we can expect, very loyal to him, isn't she?
Well, yes, apart from the fact that she's gone to reform.
Well, she's
not that loyal. I mean,
well, Boris Johnson isn't an MP anymore, so perhaps we could say that. But she's saying that she doesn't recognise those allegations of sexism, and talked about the vaccines, that we were the first country in the world to get vaccines in arms, and he deserves great kudos for that.
That is true. And of course, we are, as a country, very good at beating ourselves up about everything we got wrong. And that is something that we did get right. And that was something that, for the fact that we had left the EU, allowed us to do. And yes, the government did lead on that. We were the first country in the world to do it. And that was a very significant achievement, yes.
All right, Catherine, for now, thank you very much indeed. Let's turn our attention well, effectively stateside in a way, because although this is about Russia and Ukraine, it's been driven by Washington. Sir Keir Starmer, though, says the future of Ukraine must be determined by Ukraine. Amid reports, the United States has been secretly forging a plan with Russia to end the war.
Well, the White House has said to have pressed Kyiv to accept an agreement under which the invaded country would be required to give up territory and accept limits on the size of its army. Volodymyr Zelensky indicated he was ready to work on the Washington-backed plan.
Let's talk to spokesperson for Republicans Overseas UK, Jennifer Ewing. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you,
Jennifer.
Good morning.
I mean, this is interesting because on the surface, you read this 28-point plan and you would imagine the Ukrainians are going to say no, because it's about ceding land, effectively. What is interesting is they're not saying that at the moment. They're saying, let's see what we can work through.
Sure. And let's keep in mind that President Trump does not have a mandate to continue this war, right? He was put into power just over a year ago to end a lot of these wars. So this war is seen very differently in the United States than it is in Europe, for obvious reasons, geography. So, and we also know that in April of 2022, there was a peace plan on the table that the Biden administration and a former prime minister of this country scuppered. It looks a lot like what we're talking about right now. So this, while not ideal, is a good thing. I mean, we had not heard peace being talked about for 3.5 years from the Europeans, from people in the UK, indeed from people in the US. So the fact that if this means less people will be killed on the battlefield, both Ukrainians and Russians, this is a good thing.
But we want long-lasting peace, don't we? And security is so important to the Ukrainians. Of course, they don't want Putin to come back for more. So when we're looking at Ukraine being asked to halve the size of its army, banning them from owning long-range missiles and shutting down its most effective fighting units, that's a huge cost for peace that might not even be long-term.
Well, I think the issue is, and perhaps it hasn't been reported honestly globally, is that Ukraine is not winning this war, and they're not going to be able to win this war. We heard after the Alaska summit that President Trump was really encouraging the Europeans to step up. You know, we heard about this coalition of the willing. I haven't heard much about that. You know, I don't think that, quite frankly, the UK or the Europeans has the money, the manpower, or indeed the political will, right? So they have not stepped up. So do we just continue this war in perpetuity? They're not going to have the U.S. backing. So something had to take place. And if this 28-point plan, well, you're right. Who knows if it'll be permanent or not? At least it's a step forward to, even if it's a temporary ceasefire.
But the big concern for a lot of people will be that by welcoming Russia back into the international community, I don't know if it would regain, you know, favoured nation and all that sort of thing for trading, and back into the G7 or G8. What you're ultimately doing is rewarding them for invading and taking that land. That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, yes, I do understand that argument completely. But when I moved here 20 years ago, I mean, everybody in the UK was building up the Russian capital markets, right? Everybody wanted Russian clients, whether it was real estate or lawyers or in the city, you know, tech. And then that obviously changed, you know, in February of 2022. So I do think there is an argument for whether it's seen as rewarding or not, that Russia is welcomed back into the international community.
OK, Jennifer Ewing, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Right, well, we're talking about world leaders, actually, and it's the G20 in Johannesburg. Trump isn't going, though.
I'll tell you who is, though. Christopher Hope is there for us. Morning to you, Chris.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Ellie. Yeah, welcome to Johannesburg. It's 10 in the morning here. Donald Trump isn't here. He has sent his ambassador. That's because he's got this beef with South Africa, which is contested. He says that the white South Africans are being persecuted by the black majority here, and Trump called it a total disgrace, he says, that this G20 is being held in South Africa. He said these Afrikaans are being killed and slaughtered on their land, and their farms are being illegally confiscated. That is contested by a lot of people in South Africa. They say this is nonsense. £1,000. It isn't true, and it's been criticised by people here, saying he's got the wrong end of the stick, and he's been misled almost by what is being told to believe that. Cyril Ramaphosa, the South African president, says that boycotting politics doesn't work, and it's their loss not coming. So Keir Starmer is here. He has arrived. He's got a day of trade, of business conversations today. He's going to a Johannesburg train depot. He's going to try and see how trains that are built in Derby running there. He's brushed off the no-show of Donald Trump. He told us this on the flight over that he'll focus on deals here, business we can do with our partner countries, and make sure the work we do internationally is impacting directly at home. If you want to deal with the cost of living crisis, he says, and make people better off, he needs to be here meeting face-to-face other world leaders to try and get trade deals. He also used the flight over to answer a number of questions from journalists, from reporters, including myself. He was very critical of Nigel Farage. He thinks that Farage hasn't come out strongly enough against Sarah Pochin, of course, who complained about too many black Asian faces on TV adverts. He felt that was racist in his language. He thinks that it was spineless, twice calling Nigel Farage spineless for not dealing with that. That is rebutted by Nigel Farage. He is angry with that and disputes it, and he says in fact that the man who is spineless is Keir Starmer. So even on the flight over here, he's using the opportunity to put pot shots across Nigel Farage, of course, his party, well ahead in the polls.
I hope they're for us in Johannesburg. Thank you very much indeed. I'm very jealous of the sunshine.
Yes, it's quite sickening, isn't it? Chris looks like he's enjoying every second of that.
Basking in the sunshine.
Because over here, it was so bitter. I mean, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, but it was so bitterly cold. Let's see how the day's going to span out for you today with Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright, late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold-feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, there are just a few weeks left until Christmas. I'm feeling festive. The weather's certainly helping.
Is it?
With the frost and the snow.
Oh, the frost.
Yeah.
To de-ice the car this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, first time this year.
Well, 'tis the season. Well, if you'd like to make your festive season sing, how would you like £40,000? Sing. How would you like £40,000 in tax-free cash? £1,000 to spend your favourite supermarket. That's nice.
I mean, I'd like that any time of year,
Yeah, I'd like
frankly.
that any time of year. But this is very special. A festive GB News goodie bag, complete with baubles. All in time for the big day. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 34 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for that big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, still to come, should foreign workers be used to save the NHS? We'll debate it next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah,
as I said, now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
So proud of GB News for getting, and Bev of course, for getting the interview, but the real important message from all of it was of course President Trump's attack on the BBC. I've been proven wrong because I tweeted a couple of days ago, it just shows how much I know, I tweeted that I thought President Trump might accept the apology from the BBC as an off-ramp and say, look, I want to be the nice guy here. I don't want to sting the great British public who, of course, pay the licence fee and who would ultimately be funding any settlement or court fees. So I thought he might use that as an off-ramp. But nope, we got into the Roosevelt room in the White House. Bev sat down with him. I was standing just behind Bev listening to the whole interview. And even before we went live with the interview and started recording, he was so shocked, angry and more than anything, actually, confused as to why the BBC would behave like that. He just couldn't believe, not that, you know, on one occasion, fine, maybe it could be a mistake, but the second time, the Newsnight incident just proved that, in his mind, it was intentional, it was institutional bias. There's a clip there of, a photo, sorry, there of us in the Oval Office. It was an amazing experience, Nana, of course, just being in that room. Once we finished the interview, President Trump came over to us and said hello and asked if we'd like to see his office and the Oval Office. And yeah, stepping into that room, the history, you can feel it, the soul of the place, the grandeur, the gold as well that President Trump has installed all over the room. He's received some criticism for his use of sort of gold decor across the White House, but I have to say it was extraordinary. And it didn't stop there. He then invited Bev and I and some of the crew out onto the Rose Garden patio. There was American music playing, which was very funny. And we had a quick glimpse down at the presidential Hall of Fame, just from the top of the patio there.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there.
With expert analysis, breaking down what it means for you. Budget day, all day Wednesday. Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
8 28 now. The NHS could be left with huge holes in the workforce, apparently, if foreign doctors leave the health service. That's according to the medical regulator.
While doctors who qualified outside of the UK reportedly make up around 42% of the workforce. So we're asking this morning, should foreign workers be used to save the NHS?
Health commentator Roy Lilly joins us, along with NHS nurse Julia Taylor. Good morning to you both. Roy, I mean, it can't be right, can it, that 42% of our medical workforce are not British to begin with? I mean, that doesn't sound like a sustainable policy.
No, it's a pretty poor workforce plan, it's true. And we went for a long time not having a workforce plan, going back into sort of issues back in time. Jeremy Hunt, when he was the Secretary of State for Health, tried on a lot of occasions to get a viable workforce plan through the Treasury. They wouldn't sign up to it because of the financial implications. But I've just looked at the latest numbers. It's 18.7% of NHS staff are non-British. So that's nearly 1 in 5 are non-British. Now, you know, the politics of this is really underlining all of this. Most governments and potential governments have got difficulties with illegal migration. They need to bring the numbers down. So the easiest thing to do is to bring the numbers down on legal migration. Well, that's a matter for Parliament and for democracy to decide if they want to do it. But bear in mind, if that's what you do and you start sending people home, which is what I thought Shabina Mahmood was talking about in the House of Commons yesterday, bear in mind, 1 in 5 people working here weren't born here. And if you start doing that, just bear in mind that it takes 4 years, more or less, to train a nurse, over 10 years to train a doctor, and 5 to 7 years to train pharmacists and other allied health professionals. So if you're going to get shot at people on the grounds of I suppose, their colour, which is really what this is, then you've got to start planning now to train more people to come out at the end of the conveyor belt in 4, 5, 7 and 10 years' time. And if you add to that the situation we're in now, where we're short of GPs, short of doctors, and we've got junior doctors on strike because at the end of their training they can't get a job because the government won't pay to employ them, we have a chaotic workforce situation in the NHS. And really, pretty patently, obviously, whatever the Home Office does will have a huge impact on the NHS, which the NHS won't be able to fix because you can't ring Amazon and get a box of 10 doctors delivered tomorrow. It takes time.
Julia, what do you think? Should foreign workers be used to save the NHS?
Well, I'm not one to knock overseas doctors, having worked with a fair few in my time who are very skilled, but treating them as a permanent sticky plaster means we're never going to fix the real problem. I'm just echoing what Roy said, which isn't enough training. We've got 42%, you said, of doctors who work in the UK came from abroad. That's not diversity, that's dependency. One bad year and the actual health service could really struggle to manage. And didn't Wes Streeton call it crackers? That British medical graduates, have to compete on equal terms with overseas applicants. For the training places for jobs, he's absolutely right. We should be training our own first. And we keep hearing about huge holes if foreign doctors leave. But the real hole is the one we've allowed to grow in our own training system. Plug that and we won't be left panicking everybody every time somebody decides to leave and move on. We need to expand medical school places.
It's hard to argue with that, Roy, isn't it?
That's the wisdom of the front line. You're hearing from someone who's actually at the coalface every day, doing the job, working with colleagues, and she knows what's what. It's absolutely right. And of course, the problem is that political policy is so removed from what's happening at the front line that we just don't have a viable workforce plan because it's all muddled up in the migration issues and who should live here and who shouldn't, and there's just no cohesive plan. I mean, yesterday the House of Commons Public Accounts Committee released a report on the performance of Wes Streeting and his health reforms. Bearing in mind there are 7 Labour members on the Public Accounts Committee, it's an excoriating report about the chaos he's caused and how there's no lack of plan, or there is a lack of planning in changing the NHS. I mean, the NHS is in a devil of a mess, facing more strikes and what looks like to be a horrendous winter. You were talking this morning about it being cold here. You know, the cold really does affect the NHS. And of course, we've got 13,000 people in hospital now with COVID.
Yeah. All right. Look, we've got to leave it there. Thank you both. And Juliet, particularly, I've got to say thank you to you for what you do.
Yeah.
Actually, we should never forget, actually, as Roy said, the people at the coalface in all of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, do be careful because it is icy out there. Here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 westbound between junction 6 and 8, all lanes are closed due to a vehicle fire. Expect normal conditions to resume around 1:45 this afternoon. The A90 northbound near Claverhouse faces partial blockage by a broken down vehicle. Drivers on the A46 southbound entry slip from the A607 in Leicestershire will encounter a road traffic incident, leading to lane closures. Lastly, congestion continues between junction 27, High Cross, and junction 28, Tredegar Park on the M4. And on the trains, there's disruption affecting cross-country and Great Western Railway services between Totnes and Plymouth. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Right, Paul's got the sport at 8:37. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, let's give us an update on the Ashes.
Ashes, Australia 57 for 4.
All right.
Or as they say in Australia, 4 for 57. They do it the wrong way round. Did you know that?
It's because they're
See,
upside
not
down.
only does the water, when it goes down the plug hole, go in the opposite direction, they also, when they give cricket scores, back to front as well.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, England were 172 all out. So it started sort of 2 o'clock in the morning our time, and you're thinking wicket, going after wicket, thinking, oh no, this is going to be a disaster for England. And Mitchell Starc took 7 wickets for Australia, and England are all out with a whimper and think this is really not going to be very good. But it proves that it's a fast bowler's wicket because it's working for England as well. And England are bowling really well. So I say 61 for 4 as we speak, but they're bouncing them all over the place, hitting different body parts of Australians. It's all fun. So anyway, you never know how this is going to go. It looks like it's going to be a really good game. First day, obviously 5 days across this Test match in Perth, but that's where we stand at the moment. So 61 for 4, and is it even? Would we say it's probably slightly towards Australia at the moment? Probably,
a little bit.
Yeah, slightly
skewed towards Australia,
They've got home
but not
advantage,
that far.
though. Let's be fair.
They have absolutely. But England are bowling very well, so that's okay. World Cup. I should mention the World Cup.
Oh, but the playoff draw.
Yeah, the playoff draw. So that was made yesterday. And Wales and Northern Ireland, who are in the playoffs, so they're in the third place playoff because, of course, we know Scotland had that amazing result against Denmark in the week, so they're already there. Now, this is what I wanted. I was hoping that Northern Ireland and Wales could both make it, but it's not possible now because they've both been drawn in the same little bit. I think that's what they call it. That's the official term. So Wales are going to be playing Bosnia and Herzegovina, and they play that game at home. But also Northern Ireland will be playing Italy. So whoever wins each of those ties will then play each other for the place in the World Cup.
More important, if you're listening on the radio, you can't see this, unfortunately, but I wouldn't want to work in that studio with a hangover.
I know, it looks like they're actually in pots, doesn't it? You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of Bill and Ben. The flower pot men. It kind of looks like that.
Every colour under the rainbow behind you.
Yeah.
It's far too garish.
And little weeds just appears in the background. Yeah. There's one for the kids. So anyway, the games will be played in March. The actual World Cup draw itself, by the way, where we will go in there and everything, there's so many teams, 48 teams at the World Cup. Whenever I talk about a draw, Ellie, I see it in your eyes.
You know how I feel about this.
I get excited about a draw, and Ellie's just like...
I just think let's all get on with it now.
Well, December...
We know where we're playing.
So this is for you. 48 teams will be in the draw. There will be, and so once they're all there, 12 groups of 4. This is once the actual thing gets underway. The top 2 go through, and then 8 best third-place teams will then go into the last 32, and then it's a knockout.
And then it will start to make sense to me, I think.
Yes, I think it will.
OK.
Thank you, Corey.
Right. Just a quick one, because I've seen actually it's on Ellie's Twitter, not mine.
I love the fact you're just reading.
I was just reading your phone. Andrew Miller says, we all wake up excited to see someone. Mine is Paul Coyte.
Oh, thank you. Nice. Thank you very much.
He's not got a lot going on at home.
No, but it doesn't matter. Thank you very much.
He goes on to say, sorry, but your team will lose miserably this weekend.
Oh, no. You had to ruin the tweet, didn't you, Andrew?
I missed it out, that bit.
But I appreciate you, but I just got to tell you, it's a huge sport weekend. Ashes, Las Vegas Grand Prix, Rugby Internationals, England versus Argentina, Wales versus New Zealand, and Sunday,
the North London Derby.
Not that I'm worried about it in the slightest.
What time is that?
It's 4:30 on Sunday.
Oh, it's always prime time.
All right.
Big game. Have a good
very
weekend.
Much indeed. Ellie, you do this bit, because I'm just going to go through your WhatsApps.
OK, well, still to come. Tend it like Beckham. Sir David knows his onions, doesn't he? He's been asked to plan a garden at the Chelsea Flower Show for the King, because they're best friends, aren't they? We're going to be discussing that and much more in the papers with James Rampton and Alison Cork. But first, we're going to search some holiday sun. Who can blame you, because it's very frosty outside. Here is the European weather.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. Heavy rain and strong winds likely in Italy and Croatia for the first part of the weekend. Meanwhile, it's fine and sunny for most of Spain and Portugal. Chance of some showers for Madeira and also across the Canaries. Sunny but not particularly warm across much of Spain and Portugal. Wet and windy weather, especially for southern Italy, Sicily and parts of Croatia and mainland Greece. Many of the Greek islands dry and fine on Saturday, but it will be cloudy here on Sunday. By the time we get into next week, it looks a little warmer for Rome and Dubrovnik.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Last time I was here was with Buddy, my golden retriever, who joined me for the first 2,000 kilometre of my 13,000 kilometre triathlon from England to Everest. But this time we got back and we've just got a rescue dog, but Teddy, who's inspired our next adventure, our next charity expedition in aid of rescue dogs. So, yeah.
I'm going to slow you down a tiny bit there.
Absolutely, that's fine.
You said fairly quickly 13,000 kilometres.
Yeah.
So tell me about the stages of that.
So, yeah, so it was 6 months tomorrow, 6 months ago to the day, was on summit of Everest and completed the longest climb of Mount Everest in history. So it was 13,157 kilometres, which started with a swim across the English Channel and then a 12,000 kilometre bike ride across 18 countries to sea level in India, and then a 1,300 kilometre run and hike and climb from sea level to the top of Mount Everest. So it was the first triathlon to the top of the world and also the longest climb of Everest in history, which was for a great veterans charity called SABSIM, which makes mental health courses using wildlife and nature. And I studied zoology, massive animal lover myself, and now I've been back 6 months and we've just come across and rescued Teddy. It inspired our next little venture.
I mean, the trip you undertook, the 13,000 kilometres, medical experts said it was impossible.
Well, a lot of people said to me, a lot of experts said they're not sure if it's possible. You know, the question was that, you know, after nearly an 8,000-mile triathlon, would the human body then be capable of then climbing Everest? I lost 18 kilos, nearly died many times. The hardest day was on day one, actually, 18 and a half hours across the channel. That was just day one of 237. But we made it in the end. It was for a great cause, and we kind of defied possible to show the most important message of my entire kind of expedition, that the only person that knows what's possible is looking in the mirror.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
We're going through the papers with James Rampton and Alison Cork. Good morning, you two.
Hello. You don't want to know what she was talking about.
Anyway, should we talk about David Beckham? Both of you want to talk about this, I hear.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to say it as it is. For me, this was a very well PR'd campaign to achieve a means to an end, which was a knighthood. I mean, this has been an ongoing...
Alison, it's very cynical of you.
Well, if you follow the progress of it, that conversation has been rumbling on for years, and there were reasons, because obviously when one is put forward for these things, that you go through HMRC, they have their say, and apparently there were conversations which delayed such a decision. And so for me, the irony of suddenly becoming interested in bees, as an ex-professional footballer and, just gardening generally, it just, I don't know, it felt like a bit of a campaign.
To be fair, he did enjoy his gardening in his house in the Cotswolds.
Yes.
Takes great pride in his garden.
Yes, but that was sort of simultaneous to the other.
He is 50, he's 50, 51?
I just don't... When I think of David, I just don't think of onions. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I think he likes his garden these days.
Yeah,
James?
I think I absolutely agree with Alison. I'm very sorry to say we're supposed to be daggers drawn, but I think it's the PR who should have got the knighthood.
Yeah.
Because I think there were question marks and there were some emails that were released that showed he was perhaps too keen and rather aggressive about other people who'd been awarded honours when he hadn't.
Well, you can't blame him for that. The man represented his country. He's led our Olympic bid. He's an amazing man.
True.
And I did really...
I'm just jealous because I don't look anything like him.
But the way that he stood in that queue for the contest...
That was very dignified.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
thought it was really dignified because he didn't need to do that.
No. He
People weren't doing that.
I 100% agree with you there.
For hours.
Yeah. That did him more good than many other things.
But I think this is actually... He says through gritted teeth, a good thing that he's doing. He's creating something called the Curious Garden for the Chelsea Flower Show, and it's designed to encourage people to get into gardening. It's very good for mental health, it's very therapeutic, and it also plays a vital role in the environment. So somebody as popular as David Beckham might well encourage people to get out there and, know their onions, as you said earlier, and tend it like Beckham is a very good headline.
It is.
So the story is worth it just for that.
Of course it is. James, can we have a look at the Times and Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, who, what a surprise, has declined the offer to go and speak to Congress about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, I think last time we were discussing this, I quoted Don King saying, the chances that are happening are slim and no chance, and Slim has just left town. There's absolutely no way that he was ever going to. The deadline expired that Congress had set yesterday, and they've accused him in Congress of hiding. Surprise, surprise. Because there's absolutely no chance that he'd go over there where he may well face other questions that have not been announced yet. So I do think that they were going on a bit of a fishing expedition there. Having said that, some big names are testifying. Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to testify, which I find very surprising as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe as an ex-president and an ex-candidate, they feel like they have to. But it just shows the tentacles of Jeffrey Epstein. He's been dead 6 years, and he continues to threaten President Trump from beyond the grave. He's already brought down Andrew, the man formerly known as Prince. He's also brought down Peter Mandelson. Larry Summers has resigned from Harvard in the US. Jez Staley from Barclays. He's affected so many careers already, and he's not even here anymore.
But don't you think that sort of throws into relief Andrew's sort of general sense of entitlement and contempt for protocol? Why he, of all of those big names who've stepped forward and either, fallen on their sword or said we're going to give evidence, he somehow is immune to all of that. I mean, to me, that just speaks volumes about him as a personality.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Who may have the perception of himself that those things are for little people.
Absolutely.
And he's above all that.
Absolutely.
And you're
even
right, that sense of entitlement is kind of...
But why would you go and basically put yourself in the firing line if you don't have to?
Well, if you are concerned about what might come out, then no, you wouldn't.
Well, exactly.
But it's an opportunity to do right by the victims, isn't it? And the survivors of all of this. But we shouldn't be surprised that wouldn't be his motivation.
No.
He was given that opportunity, wasn't he? Not only in the 2019 Newsnight interview, but also when he voluntarily gave up his titles, an opportunity again to talk about the victims, and he never has.
No. And it was King Charles who expressed sympathy for the victims in his last missive.
Yes. And that was interesting.
And that was really good. I'm very pleased that the King and Queen did that. But you're right, in the Newsnight interview, Andrew showed no contrition. The only sorrow he seemed to feel was for himself.
Definitely. It's all about self-pity.
Yeah.
And why am I being attacked? Why am I not immune?
I was in Pizza Express and I can't sweat, and all those very plausible explanations that he gave. It's amazing that, it is the power of journalism in a way, but that one interview should total a career in that way. Extraordinary. It's an exceptional example, but it can have that power.
Yeah. But I don't think this is the end. I think there's more.
No, I'm sure you're right, yeah.
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 Alison, let's look at the Daily Telegraph, shall we? And it's the talk of the jungle, apparently. Lions have 2 roars.
Well, I'm a bit surprised by this story in the sense that, you know, humans have many means of communication, you know, loud voice, soft voice, something in the middle. We know that animals are super sophisticated when it comes to communication. So why lions only have 2 types of roars is what surprises me, because I think they've probably got 100.
Yeah.
And not just roars. So I thought that was a rather interesting... And why has it taken us this long to understand
It sounds a bit like a bark, apparently.
Does it? Oh.
So it sounds a bit like a dog bark.
Yes, and they don't know what the noises are for. I would say scary and extremely scary. But you're right. Compared to, say, whales...
Dolphins,
And dolphins, they have discovered that whales have regional accents, like we do in this country. Yes.
That is
so if you're from the Pacific, you will have a different accent than if you're up near the Arctic. It's quite extraordinary. And they've identified hundreds of different sounds, which, of course, we can't translate. But the level of linguistic sophistication is beyond our comprehension.
I love that, this idea of a wet... Hey up, Mabel.
Yes.
Well, I mean...
See you in Wales.
Cats have different types of purr.
Yes.
Oh, that's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've
Well-
got 3 or 4 different types of purr that are sort of louder or softer or sort of deeper or more... Oh, yeah, you can tell.
You are so right about that, because in a previous life, when I ran a publishing company, one of my best-selling titles ever was one I commissioned called How to Talk to Your Cat.
Well, there you go, you see.
But all their purrs mean give me more food, don't they?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, so much more.
Come on. All right, you two, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Good to see you this morning.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you very much. Let us know what you think of any of those stories. gbnews.com/your say. Should we get a check on the weather?
Let's.
It's cold.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps you won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The road ahead on the A90 near Claverhouse is partially blocked due to a broken down vehicle. Over on the M4 westbound, expect congestion between junction 27 High Cross and junction 28 Tredegar Park. In the Windsor and Maidenhead area, a vehicle fire has resulted in all lanes being closed on the M4 westbound between junction 6 and junction 8. Commuters should take caution and plan alternative routes. And on the trains, there are disruptions with cross-country services between Totnes and Plymouth and Leeds and York. Great Western Railway also faces issues between Totnes and Plymouth. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could win your Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The COVID-19 inquiry finds the government's response to the pandemic was too little, too late.
It found that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely and ministers could have reacted more quickly to the emerging threat of the virus.
Well, Lady Hallett found up to 23,000 lives could have been saved if the first lockdown had been imposed just a week earlier.
But after £200 million inquiry, which has taken over 2 years, will anyone ever be held responsible?
That's a bit of an unexpected move in the energy price cap this morning. We were expecting it to drop by about 1%. It's actually going up, not by much, 0.2% in January. That's the news coming from Ofgem this morning.
Russia could be welcomed back to G7 and freed from Western sanctions. That's under the new Trump peace plan for Ukraine.
Meanwhile, there are fears that President Trump's boycott of the G20 in South Africa will overshadow the meeting of world leaders. They're all arriving in Johannesburg today.
60% of farmers say they're at financial risk from supermarket buying behaviour, with nearly 70% saying that living through farming has never been harder.
Things will be changing through the weekend, but for the time being, it is another cold day out there where we've seen showers through the night. Could be quite icy first thing this morning. The snow showers, though, are fading away, and for many, it'll be a sunny one. Join me later for a full forecast.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, I promised you this in the 6.
Yes, you did.
I'm finally getting around to it in the 9, because I know you love to talk about trigger warnings.
Oh,
I've got the latest news from you from the trigger warning world.
Oh, what's going on now?
The latest trigger warning is for, drum roll, Balloon animals.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, yes. This is at Theatre 503 in Battersea in southwest London. Now, they have a trigger warning saying that the production there contains balloon animals and real soil.
What?
What's the problem with real soil?
What's the problem with balloon animals?
Yes. It goes on to say that real soil is used in the set and balloon animals are used in the production. Theatregoers say they've been left surprised at the alerts for the show.
I mean, honestly. I mean, they're worried people are going to go there and come out absolutely distraught because they've seen a balloon animal and some soil.
Traumatised by soil.
What is happening to this country?
Oh, well, yes. Dame Judi Dench, talking about trigger warning, says if you're that sensitive, just don't go to the theatre.
Yes.
Dame Judi, you've got a point.
I agree with you entirely.
What's scary about soil?
And if you don't like soil, just never leave the house ever again or buy a plant.
Or go to a children's birthday party, because there will be balloon animals.
Yes. I mean, honestly, it's stuff like this. We shouldn't feed it. We shouldn't... If people are getting upset about that, we need to do them a favour and say, well, we're not going to give you a warning that there's any of this going on.
You're just going to be surprised.
You're just going to be surprised and you're going to have to cope with it. You're just going to have to cope.
You'll be OK.
You'll survive. Just like Gloria Gaynor once said.
I will survive.
I will. I've seen soil, but I will survive.
Anyway, gbnews.com. So I shall say, what's the most bizarre trigger warning that you've ever seen? Because I think we've just found it.
I think that could be
I don't think it can be topped. What was the play where it said witchcraft would be involved?
Oh, I don't know. Probably Macbeth or something.
I think it was Macbeth. And I think there was a trigger warning for witches. I am going to Google that, but I think that may be one of the best ones I've ever seen.
I mean...
Anyway, we outdo ourselves.
We should do a trigger warning. You may see cups of tea.
And hear about the news.
And hear about news. And you may, on occasion, see a ginger person. Hey, Catherine.
She's losing her mind in the corner.
Just on occasion. If you're gingerphobic, we do have the odd ginger person that appears on screen. I do apologise.
The conversations in this place, on air and off air.
I know.
I mean, it's too much, isn't it?
It's too much.
The world's
Only
gone
at
mad.
GB News.
The world has gone mad.
It's totally crackers.
Soil and balloon animals.
Yeah.
I know. It's gone too far, isn't it? The world is crackers.
Right.
Anyway, should we do some news?
Let's.
Because this is a news programme.
Well, supposedly, a public inquiry has concluded the government's failure to take COVID-19 seriously cost thousands of lives in the first wave of the pandemic.
The inquiry says the government response to the pandemic in March of 2020 was too little, too late.
So, while they say we should have brought the lockdown in a week earlier, they also say lockdowns could have been avoided altogether if steps like social distancing and isolating those with symptoms was brought in earlier.
It also added that toxic and chaotic culture in the UK government at the time affected decision-making, saying that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson failed to tackle it.
Let's talk to Catherine Forster then. I mean, in a way, because the biggest condemnation would seem to be that the way government was being run at the time was absolutely chaotic.
Yes, and clearly there are lessons to be learned, and this is the second report of 10. There's 10 modules, and it's all taking a very long time. I think a lot of this, lockdown came in too late, things that we probably knew was going to be said. They said that 23,000 lives could have been saved. But
how did they come to those sort of figures?
I mean, we
modelling.
but we can never know because there was all sorts of modelling and quite a lot of it was wrong. And also they talked about the science like it was a single thing. There's no such thing as the science. There's lots of different opinions and nobody really quite knows. Of course it was very difficult. Of course it was unprecedented. Of course, people didn't really understand what was coming and how to deal with it. What is clear is that we had prepared for the wrong pandemic. We'd prepared for a sort of flu-type pandemic. And we were late to lockdown because we saw what was happening in February in Italy. We saw horrendous scenes in hospitals, people dying in terrible circumstances without ventilators. Lady Hallett referred to February 2020 as a lost month, where the government should have been looking and taking action and weren't. And then when the lockdown came in March, that lives could have been saved if it had come in a week earlier. And also, I think, is significant that she said that full lockdown could have potentially been avoided altogether if more steps, social distancing and other measures had been taken much earlier than they were because we had things like the Cheltenham Festival, while the virus was clearly spreading, that may have contributed. But this blame toxic, sexist and chaotic culture in government, at the time, there were certainly allegations subsequently where there were women's voices were not heard as much as perhaps they should have been. We know that the closure of schools not once but twice had a catastrophic effect and, of course, on the economy. And we're all still paying the price for that. But will lessons be learnt?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Catherine, thank you very much.
Now, millions of us will see a rise in our electricity bills in the middle of winter. Well, yes, we will, but...
Slight one, very slight.
Very, very slight. Ofgem has outlined the next price cap from the start of January.
Well, the 0.2% increase will take effect at the start of January, lifting the annual bill for a typical dual-fuel home to 28 pence a month.
Let's talk to Chief Economic Advisor for the Centre for Economic and Business Research, Vicky Price. Good morning to you, Vicky. I mean, look, this is basically flat. So there's nothing massively to worry about in that sense, apart from the fact we were expecting about a 1% drop. So why hasn't that happened?
It's absolutely true, because if you look at the weather right now, of course, it looks like it's going to be sort of snowy and icy and so on. You'd assume that it's the wholesale prices for gas that have determined it, but it's not the case. What is the case is that a lot of those increases, tiny for the moment, but it tells us there's going to be a trend in that direction, come from the costs of, first of all, subsidising and helping renewables, and second, all the costs that are necessary to expand the grid and make sure all the connections sort of work in the future, because obviously we're all going to be asking for more energy and a lot more energy, of course, from renewables too. So the whole price structure seems to be tilted now and is shifting to funding through our bills what is going to be going on in terms of improving the ability to have particularly renewable energy come to our homes, because for the moment there are serious problems with the grid in terms of achieving that. So that's where the costs are going to be, and I think that's something to be watched, because as perhaps everything else sort of stabilizes, that is going to take an increasing part of the overall sort of money that the households have to pay in the future.
But those improvements and that investment is going to take a long time, isn't it? So how long is it going to be before our bills actually start to come down in the right direction?
Well, the government, as you know, has promised that whatever it is, by the end of Parliament, we're all going to be paying £300 less in our bills. Well, that remains to be seen, and it's questionable whether that will be the case. But what is happening right now, of course, is that we have a budget coming up, and the Chancellor is very aware of some of the cost of living issues and has already promised that she's going to focus on those. There are hints that perhaps some other parts of the bills will be coming down. So, for example, the VAT rate, which is 5%, may be reduced or taken off altogether. So that's one possibility. So that would bring some of the costs down, and also maybe transferring some of those network costs, if you wouldn't call them that, into taxes rather than being paid by people who very often don't use very much electricity or gas and still have to pay those rates irrespective of not heating their homes at all.
Where does it... because you mentioned the renewable side of this, I mean, we're always told that renewables, apart from giving us energy security, are a way of bringing our prices down, and yet it would seem... all they seem to do is put the prices up at the moment. So, I mean, how does that balance out? How do you make an argument that renewables are going to be cheaper for us in the long run?
Well, the main argument which has been used, and I think it's quite right in many ways, is that we don't want to be dependent on the price of gas, which is internationally priced, and we have to import an awful lot of it. So if we don't have to do that, then at least you have less variability in your domestic price system. So that's good news. And what we saw before in terms of the real hike in prices has been caused because of that. You know, an invasion of Ukraine by Russia, all prices went up. And we trade and we import quite a lot of that energy, so we all suffered. So the question is whether we can have renewables which are more domestic, and of course then they come to the domestic market because they are a little bit more difficult, but not necessarily so to be exported. Although there are all sorts of ways of doing that. You need to be able to sort of safely deposit that energy somewhere, and that's the real problem. With renewables, don't quite do that. That's why you also need nuclear, so you have some base load, something that comes there and backs up if the wind isn't blowing. So that sort of stuff that we suffer from. But in order to get to the point where you don't really depend on that marginal energy coming in from outside and pushing your prices up, then you do need to invest in those renewables. And they're costly in terms of investing in them, not at all costly in terms of what they produce, because the marginal cost of a little bit more of wind energy is zero. So you have to also subsidize it quite significantly, because otherwise nobody's going to install any turbines, wind turbines. So this is a very complicated area, and that's, at the end of the day, the consumer for the moment pays.
Yeah. OK, Vicky Price, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, there's just about a week left until, or for our latest competition, I should say, which is 40 grand in tax-free cash, £1,000 in supermarket vouchers and a GB News festive goodie bag, all in time for Christmas. Here's how you enter.
There's just 34 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you could enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, another blow for farmers. We're going to tell you more about that next.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there.
With expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's News Channel. Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, 60% of farmers are at financial risk from changes to supermarket buying behaviour.
68% of farmers say making a living through farming has never been harder. 69% believe the buying relationship between growers and retailers has deteriorated.
Well, let's speak to our favourite farmer, Gareth Wynne-Jones, who's in Snowdonia for us this morning. Or I bet it's really cold, Gareth. Morning to you. Oh, it's lovely and sunny.
Yeah, well, it's never cold if you've got the right clothing on, is it?
Yes, that's the thing a farmer would say. Supermarket buying behaviour, Gareth, what is that? And why is it piling pressure on farmers?
Well, we've known this for many, many years, you know. The procurers, the supermarkets, they've got a stranglehold on the agricultural sector. I've got farming friends, you know, that are afraid to even challenge their contracts with the processors, afraid of losing their businesses, you know, from milk to growing veg. Yeah, all these people are scared. And you know, we hear about fair trade across the world, fair trade for coffee producers, fair trade for banana growers, fair trade for cotton producers. Where's the fair trade for British farmers that are producing, you know, top quality food to feed the nation in a sustainable and healthy way? There isn't, because these supermarkets are literally taking off not just the cream, they're taking all the profit, keeping, you know, the farmer downtrodden, where as an industry we need to always reinvest into our businesses. And as the things are now, there's so many people getting out of the job. There's so many people going bankrupt. And there's so many people that are suffering with mental health. Suicide's at the highest it's been. We've got inheritance tax, we've got TB, we've got NVZs. In Wales, we've got the SFS, which is the Sustainable So-Called Farming Scheme, or Suicidal Farming Scheme, whatever you want to look at it. Massive pressures on the industry. We need to build back a better Britain on our bellies, and it has to start with the farmers. We need a farming food revolution, and it needs to happen ASAP.
OK, Gareth, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Right, we're going to move on because we've got a very special guest for you this morning, and we're going to get all sort of theatrical, and someone who you will recognise. The actor Adam Garcia is here, co-creator of Emerald Storm. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Emerald Storm, which sort of kicked off at the Emerald Storm Theatre, or the Emerald Theatre.
At the Emerald Theatre, yeah.
In September.
Yeah, so we did a week there. We got an invitation to do that, and we jumped at the chance, and it was so well received that we're coming back for 3 weeks.
Fantastic.
From next week for 3 weeks. Yeah.
So what's the story of Emerald Storm?
Well, it's the Emerald Storm is the name of the bar, so to speak, and there's an Irish group who dance there, and they do Irish, sort of semi-traditional Irish dance. And the night that people go there, which is pretty much every night, a group of tap dancers happen to come in, and they're like, we want to dance on your stage. And so there's this sort of collision of these two worlds of how tap dancing and Irish, which are very, very similar.
Yeah. It's like a dance battle.
It's a dance battle between these two different types of very noisy dancing.
Fantastic.
And it came about because Sam Heather, who's the choreographer, who's the Irish choreographer, and I'm a tap dancer, we got together and we were like, so how similar are we, and how, you know, do our rhythms match, do our steps match? And we sort of tried to shape a story out of it, but the story for us was just the fact that you can sort of combine these two sorts of styles together.
So let's have a quick look. Oh, wow. I mean, look,
There's a lot going on that stage.
I bet that's a fun night out.
And that's it. Like, what we discovered, you know, with this week in September was people just had a really great time, and that's what we were trying to do. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a review. It's a concert. It's fun. It's really close. It's quite a small theatre, so people are right there at feet level. So it's quite extraordinary.
And the music's an important part of all of this as well. I mean, lots of dancing going on, but we've also got fantastic music by the sounds of things.
Yeah, so there's like traditional Irish, and then there's, you know, funk. There's rock. There's pop. We've got Tom Ball singing, who's an amazing vocalist. Olivia Graydon, who's this extraordinary lead Irish dancer. Yeah, so there's, as you said, it's a whole mix and match of different music and dance.
I feel exhausted watching it. I'm glad I'd be watching it and not taking part. That's all I can say.
But you can if you want. You can actually get up at the end and jam. Yeah, so there's a jam at the end of each night where people can get up and dance with the dancers and just express and share steps and
audience participation.
Absolutely.
Do you know what? I'm sold.
Come on down.
We'll have to come on down. So if people want tickets, where they get them?
emeraldstorm.net. They can go to there, and the Emerald Theatre also sells the tickets there.
Fantastic stuff.
Oh, lovely. I fancy a bit of that. It's really good to see you, Adam. Thank you
so much for having me.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, heck, we're almost out of time now. Time for our next dancing duo, Alexander.
Well, we've got a big show lined up for you.
Good.
We think we're going to be the only channel, the only show on your airwaves that's going to be questioning the establishment narrative on COVID today, on that massive inquiry that's cost millions of pounds and come to the same conclusions we all knew for a very, very long time, unfortunately. That's just part of our show, of course.
Plenty else. We're going to be looking at whether history should be compulsory to GCSE. Is it any wonder that people don't feel proud of our country if they don't know anything about it? Only 1 in 4 young people know who Nelson was. We're going to be discussing that. But we will, of course, be talking about the establishment stitch-up that is the COVID inquiry. All that after your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Still cold out there today. We've lost most of the snow showers, but where we've seen showers through the night, things likely to be pretty icy first thing this morning across parts of eastern Scotland, eastern England, West Wales and southwest England too. We've had these showers continuing to feed down. They are fizzling out all the while, and many places will just have a fine, bright, late autumn day with plenty of sunshine, and temperatures will stumble up into the mid-single figures, maybe 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, but the winds aren't as strong as recent days, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. Notice a change though across northern Scotland, thicker cloud coming in here with outbreaks of rain, and the winds have switched round more to a southwesterly. Now the winds across the south will be light, which means temperatures this evening will drop again pretty rapidly down close to freezing, but out west things are changing. The cloud is thickening for Northern Ireland and already into western Scotland, thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain. That will lift the temperatures. It'll be the mildest part of the country, I suspect, through this evening. As the wet weather comes in and hits the cold air, there could be a little bit of snow over the hills first thing. As we go through the evening, as I said, it's going to be a cold one across the eastern parts of England. Cloud will steadily increase, though, elsewhere through the night. Rain trickling into northwest England, Wales, and eventually southwest England too. And again, a bit of snow possible up over the hills. But temperatures will rise as the wet weather moves in. We could start the weekend still with a frost across East Anglia and the southeast, and then it clouds over here quite rapidly through the morning, leading to a pretty cold-feeling day. Rain and drizzle for many then to come tomorrow, but it should get a bit brighter through the day across Wales and then northern England, much of Scotland seeing some sunny spells before we see another pulse of rain coming into the southwest and Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures will be a little bit higher, still going to feel, I suspect, pretty chilly for much of the weekend.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There are congestion issues on the M4 westbound, from junction 27 High Cross to junction 28 Tredegar Park, causing slow-moving traffic. In Windsor and Maidenhead, a vehicle fire on the M4 westbound between junctions 6 and 8 has led to a lane closure. Expect normal conditions to resume by 12:45 this afternoon. Meanwhile, on the A38 southbound between A50 and A5132, congestion causes a 10-minute delay. And on the trains, disruption affects Avanti West Coast services between Rhyl and Chester, while cross-country lines have issues between Totnes and Plymouth. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
There's a dark shadow that's begun to loom over the Gloucestershire village of Pilning. This 500,000 square foot warehouse, better known to locals as the Mega Shed, rises more than 20 metres in the sky. Construction of what is officially an industrial distribution hub has been allowed to go ahead due to old planning consent dating back to 1957. The scheme was part of a post-war building initiative allowing developers to build without a full public consultation, leaving residents in the dark.
So you can see out of this window here how big the warehouse is and why we've nicknamed it the Mega Shed.
Retired policeman Paul Selby is greeted by the warehouse every time he opens his curtains.
I don't think you need to be a magician to work out that they've not taken any account of the impact that the thing's going to have on the local area. You can see it from all over the place, and everybody is commenting that it's completely spoilt what was a rural village.
A spokesperson for South Gloucestershire Council said much of the new development at Sevenside is governed by planning permission granted in 1957. This permission gives wide-ranging powers for development with limited remaining control for the council to exercise. A government spokesperson said councils are ultimately responsible for reviewing old permissions if the development is no longer suitable and deciding whether action is necessary. But local MP Claire Young believes similar developments around the country means it is a matter for Parliament.
At the moment, the government appear to be saying, no, it's not really our problem. And I think it is. That's why I want to get a minister in front of me in the chamber so I can explain what I think the problem is and what could be done about it.
GB News, the People's Channel.
All too often, people will be sitting at home watching a press conference live, and they'll hear loads of questions being asked, and they'll be thinking, that's not my question. That's not my concern.
We don't care whose feathers we ruffle. We ask the questions that you want answering.
You're all standing on the street protesting and want to have an open discussion.
My name is Patrick Christys. I do a show for GB News in the UK. Is it possible to talk to you quickly?
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, this is the best view ever of Whitehall, looking out across all the tractor drivers of England who've come together to make their point.
Hello, so as you can see, I'm here in Westminster as the protest begins.
Yes, I'm very much in the thick of it.
Look, we're challenging narratives here at GB News, and that's what sets us apart.
Good morning, it's 9:30 a.m. on Friday the 21st of November. We are live across the United Kingdom. This, of course, is Britain's Newsroom with Alex Armstrong and Miriam Cates.
Well, after years of waiting and £200 million spent, the COVID inquiry confirms what we already knew. We handled the pandemic badly. Here's the inquiry's chair, Baroness Hallett.
I can summarise my findings of the response as too little, too late.
And breaking, unwelcome news this morning. Energy bills will rise as temperatures are plummeting in January.
Well, you've probably had to put your heating on this week, and from January it'll be a little bit more expensive. Those pledges of hundreds of pounds off our energy bills, feel like a long way off still. And BBC licence fee dodgers cost the broadcaster £11 billion, despite a record 1 million enforcement visits to people's homes.
To settle in this country forever is not a right, but a privilege.
The Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood doubles down the wait for indefinite leave to remain to 10 years and applies strict rules on language, clean records and contributions to curb rising migration.
Elsewhere, the Prime Minister arrives for his third foreign trip this month, this time to South Africa for the G20 summit. But we're telling you why Donald Trump is boycotting the event.
And rich councils have been targeted, are they really? Well, wealthy families could face unlimited council tax hikes as Labour moves from funding from rich southern areas to poorer northern towns. Is that fair?
Now, Alex, sadly, I think this COVID inquiry has done exactly what we all assumed it would. It's concluded that there weren't enough lockdowns, they didn't last long enough, and they didn't start soon enough, which has caused the opposite of what the data said. And I think the worst thing about the conclusions is that it said that 23,000 lives would have been saved if we'd locked down earlier, but that figure was calculated by the disgraced models by the disgraced scientist Neil Ferguson, whose models were discredited years ago.
And not only that, so many questions were missed in this inquiry. We spent millions of pounds on it. We're going to be digging into what those questions were. The top one I want to ask is, how many people died as a result of lockdowns? Why are we not calculating that figure? Because I can bet you more people died as a result of the knock-on effects of those than died during the COVID, of course, crisis.
It is extraordinary. If you look at the charts, it's very obvious that the infections peaked before lockdown. Lockdown cannot be said to have reduced the spread of COVID in any meaningful way. It's just incredible after all this time that conclusion could be brought. It's no wonder that people don't trust the establishment.
Honestly, reading it again this morning, I don't know about you at home, but it brought up all the emotions and feelings I had from being censored during lockdowns just for questioning the government. Yeah. Things that you are meant to, you're taught to do. Honestly, I can't wait. We're going to be talking about this.
And of course, it's still having an impact today. We're going to be talking next week about the budget, the really tight fiscal constraints that Rachel Reeves finds herself in because we borrowed and spent £400 billion during COVID. Absolutely. The knock-on effects are carrying on today.
There we go. Well, get in touch with us, gbnews.com/your say. But first, let's get your 60-second news update with Sophia.
Your headlines at 9:34. Energy bills will rise by £3 from January after regulator Ofgem announced a 0.2% increase in the price cap. The COVID inquiry has found that lockdowns could have been avoided entirely during the pandemic had ministers reacted more quickly. It's after the public inquiry found that the government's failure to take COVID-19 seriously cost 23,000 lives in the first wave of the pandemic. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's ready for honest work with the US after receiving a draft peace plan to end the war with Russia. Sir Keir Starmer has vowed to focus on making deals with other nations on his trip to the G20 summit in South Africa today, amid concerns that President Trump's boycott of the event will overshadow the meeting. And ice warnings are in force across Britain as temperatures plunge to -11 degrees overnight in some areas. Those are the headlines for now. I'll have more for you in half an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Alex Armstrong and Miriam Cates.
Do you remember hearing this from Boris Johnson 5 years ago?
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households.
What about this message repeatedly from the Chief Medical Officer, Professor Chris Whitty?
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Well, Well, the long-running and costly COVID inquiry delivered a damning verdict yesterday. Take a listen to its chair, Baroness Hallett.
I can summarise my findings of the response as too little, too late. The failure to lock down earlier may have cost lives. Had the lockdown been imposed 1 week earlier than the 23rd of March, the evidence suggests that the number of deaths in England alone in the first wave up until the 1st of July 2020 would have been reduced by 48%. That is approximately 23,000 fewer deaths.
Well, extraordinary, Alex. This report works out at £171,000 per page, apparently. So the lawyers have been great winners from lockdown.
I could have done it. I would have done it for them for half the price and come up with better conclusions that we all knew already existed. There we go. She also said lockdown could have been avoided altogether if steps such as social distancing and isolating those with symptoms had been introduced earlier, and there was a toxic and chaotic culture in government that impacted decision-making. I just cannot get my head around this. I really, really can't. This is a complete establishment stitch-up, this whole inquiry. It's cost the taxpayer millions and millions of pounds. It's come to the same conclusions that they came up with, which I think a lot of it is based on pseudo-science, that lockdowns were good for the country and that we should have done them earlier, longer and harder. Well, actually, I would love to know why this inquiry didn't investigate how many deaths are impacted as a result of NHS waiting lists that went through the roof afterwards, how many people lost their jobs, the economy. All these questions were just accepting blindly, again, follow the science, blindly again accepting that we should just have listened to them and locked down longer and harder, when I think actually that cure was worse than the disease.
And one of the arguments is that there wasn't a control. Nobody could have known what would have happened if we hadn't have locked down. But there was a control, and that was Sweden. They didn't lock down, and they had a lower death rate, and their economy has obviously got back on track much quicker than ours. And I think also it's both too soft on the government, but too harsh at the same time, because I think the political pressure within Number 10 and within the government was enormous. And we're a democracy. Of course they're going to be listening to what people say and what the free press say. And I'm afraid some people in the media were the ones egging on for lockdown. The Labour Party egging on for lockdown. I think, to be fair to Boris Johnson, it would have been unbelievably difficult for him to resist lockdown, the first one or the second or the third, because of the pressure from the public and the media. So I think it's unfair to completely blame him. And actually, some of the WhatsApp messages that came out made clear that he was very nervous about the restrictions on freedom, and his instincts were not to lock down.
Yeah.
So I think it's both too harsh and misunderstanding the political reality, but also just following the blind kind of assumptions made at the time that lockdowns would work, that they would be worth it. And actually, the first kinds of messages that were put out was just that we should protect the vulnerable, we should cover the vulnerable in cotton wool, but everyone else should get on with it and not be frightened.
Well, that just makes sense, doesn't it?
So why did we switch? That's the question they should have been asking.
Hospitals already operate under a similar assumption. If there's a ward where people are most likely to get sick, well, if you're ill, they will say to you, don't come onto this ward, please. We need this ward to be sterile. We need it to be sick people to get away. You could make this worse. This is the problem. We treated everybody in the same blanket. And where is the full-blown criticism of Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance? That's what I want to know. We were told time and time again, follow the science. Well, the science was you should question science. The whole point of science is it's a debate, and we weren't even allowed to debate. People were censored en masse. It's completely insane.
Well, obviously, Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance are not here to defend themselves, and no doubt they faced enormous pressure as well. But we are going to carry on discussing this, because joining us now is the COVID data expert, Tim White. Tim, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Do you think the COVID inquiry is value for money?
Well, morning, Miriam. Morning, Alex. Thanks for inviting me on. Frankly, no, I have to agree with a lot of what you said. Even though I was in favour of vaccines, I still am, even though I thought that there probably was a good case for lockdowns early on because of the policy that had been pursued by the government. But you rightly brought up there Sweden as well, because they did have lower excess deaths than us by the end of the pandemic. But they, too, in their own inquiry, were criticised for not acting early enough. But I think most of the mistakes were made very early on by most countries, indeed. We saw what happened in Italy, but no one reacted quickly enough. Everyone panicked a little bit. And there was a bit of overcaution, I think, if we're honest. you had to follow the scientists because we had no other data to go on at that time, and their advice was critical. In hindsight, whether it's wrong, well, we're all kind of perfect in hindsight, aren't we? But I don't think, as Alex, you were saying, quite a lot of those questions you were asking weren't answered. I think that we should